100 competitors. Four stages. One goal. This is
Hello peoples, Bubba Ace here, and welcome to the special 20th tournament of Ninja Warrior of Roblox. Last tournament, 103 competitors took on the course, and compared to tournament 18, we saw far less success on the first two stages, as 10 competitors got past stage 1, which had been made harder, and 2 of those 10 got past stage 2, which has also been made harder, and like tournament 18, no one could get past the cliffhanger. But now we begin a new tournament, the tournament that took place around the holiday season of 2017. And not only is this the 20th tournament of the course, it's also the first time since tournament 13 where a tournament has hosted 100 competitors, as we've now caught up to the uneven number of competitors that was done due to the first 4 tournaments of this course. So following the conclusion of this tournament, we'll have had a total of 1,800 attempts on this course. So now 100 challengers from the community, both new and old, have decided to accept the challenge of taking on the 4-staged obstacle course, testing their speed and skill in order to achieve glory. Only the most determined and focused can conquer each stage. And as we progress, we will see familiar faces from the past who haven't been seen on this course in a long time take it on. This will be evident with every 10th runner, starting with runner number 30, and that's because 2 especially invited competitors, veteran Mega Arcade Dude 123 and former star 95 Mike, have accepted invites to compete in this special 20th tournament, but neither showed up to do their run. And one other important thing to note is that All-Stars Dr. PP and Firippu will be absent this tournament, but we will see the other All-Stars who've been invited to compete run late in this tournament. So now, without further ado, let's see what our 100 challengers will be up against, starting with stage 1. Stage 1 has seen some changes made from the last tournament. 9 obstacles as opposed to 10 from last time, and a far less lenient time limit. It begins with a new obstacle, the 12 timbers, replacing the rope glider. 12 planks, each placed at different degree angles, and each one is placed slightly further apart as you progress. Then it's the rolling boulder and Saturn respectively, both unchanged from the last tournament. Then it's the spinning rings, which have been made harder since last time, as now they've been placed at a 10-degree angle, making the transition between each ring more difficult, so you'll need to use a different strategy to get by. And then it's the infamous jumping spider, which has been redesigned from the last tournament, as now there are far less truss supports for people to grab and risk getting disqualified like King Sparkity did in the last tournament, but the difficulty of this obstacle remains the same. Following that is the pendulum swing, replacing the slippery logs. 2 pendulums which you must grab onto and swing across with enough momentum to make the transition to the next, and then the small dismount. And then it's the warped wall, which has been made harder since the last tournament, as now the wall stopper will reappear after 3 seconds as opposed to 4 from last time. And like before, you'll need to return to the beginning of the obstacle in order to make the wall stopper disappear again. And if you beat that wall, you'll then take on the wingnuts, a new obstacle replacing both the giant swing and Tarzan vault. Hang on to the wingnuts and get a big enough swing on each to catch on to the next, and then get a big enough swing on the final wingnut to catch onto the cannonball climb, unchanged from the last tournament. and the competitors will have 95 seconds to reach the button at the end without touching or falling into the water in order to punch their ticket to Stage 2. Now, before anyone says it's the same time limit as the last tournament, you'd be right. However, because of the ward wall being far less forgiving, and the new obstacles will take longer to complete, the time limit isn't all that lenient this time around. And that's what our 100 challengers in this tournament will be up against on the start of their journey to the top of the tower. Now, let's head on down to the course to begin the Holiday 2017/Special 20th Tournament of Ninja Warrior of Roblox. Kicking off this tournament is Newcomer Spacey Racy 2012. A longtime fan of the show, and now he finally gets his chance to compete, and on the special 20th tournament. As you can see, we have a new timer, and for his supposed fan of the show, he doesn't seem to know that you start when the lamps light up. Did you even watch the previous turns before that you even competed in this? Anyway, or maybe he's just waiting for his Sprite to kick in. He's wearing a Sprite costume. I don't know. What's he supposed to be? Sprite Man? We already got Pepsi Man, now we have a Sprite Man? Anyway, he's past the 12 timbers and onto the rolling boulder. Get past this. Yes, he... Woo! Catches the edge of the boulder before he falls off. He's being in onto the Saturn. He is over the hurdle. And he's past the Saturn. He'll be the first to take on the new spinning rings. And he'll undershoot the jump to the second ring and become the first victim of the buffed spinning rings. Next up is regular DGSQZXY, or DGSQZXY, however you want to pronounce it, making her 11th appearance on the course. She's competed in every tournament since its conversion to the new terrain. And she made her debut back in Tournament 4, where she went out on the separating corners. Made great work of the 12 timbers. And yeah, as I was saying, her personal best is the speed rocket in Tournament 14, where she went out in one of the most hilarious ways on the course, similar to her fail in Tournament 6. Anyway, past the Saturn. Alright, this took her out in Tournament 18. Can she get past the more harder version? Doing the Ryan technique, where she'll jump on the rings and ride the rings as they spin around. And it works out for her. Now for the jumping spider. This took her out in the last tournament. Can she get her revenge on it? Prepping up for the jump, and she's caught onto it. Can she get the climb up? Yeah, she does. Now for the walk across. Getting through that nicely, and now for the climb down. Being careful, and she's past it. Now for the pendulum swing. She'll be the first competitor to take it on. Looking at the clock, though, she's really going to have to pick up the pace if she wants to clear stage 1. She's taking in too many swings on that first pendulum, but she gets onto the second now. She's running out of time. I don't think she's going to have enough time to clear now, but she's past the pendulum swing. Now for the warped wall. This has been made more difficult. Can she at least beat this wall? Yeah, she's definitely not going to beat stage 1, but can she beat this wall? Can't get up on the second attempt. The klaxon is sounding. Can she get up on her third attempt? She will not. She'll only have time for one more attempt. Can she do it? She will not, and she's run out of time. And DGSQZXY is the first competitor to time up on the warped wall since Macy Mobro back in Tournament 12. That is unfortunate, but still a good effort. Now on the start line is regular Zigzagoon B. Dressed kind of like a dog. Maybe like a work dog or something. I don't know. Anyway, he made his debut in the last tournament, where he went out on the Saturn. Well, technically, he ran as a bonus rare in the past couple of turns prior to that. But as I said many times before, I don't count bonus runs as official appearances. And anyway, 95 seconds for Zigzagoon. How'll do? Going through this pretty slowly. That doesn't want to make a simple mistake. But you do got to be quick on this obstacle. Quick and careful. Past the 12 timbers now, and on to the rolling boulder. 75 seconds. Is onto the boulder, and is past it. Now for the Saturn. This took him out in the last tournament. Can he get his revenge on it? Takes a bit of a bunny hop, but he's over the hurdle, and is past the Saturn. Now for the spinning rings. How will he approach this? He's also going to do the right intending like DJS did. It seems to be effective, but it does seem to be a bit slower. He's already down to 50 seconds, and now onto the jumping spider. He's still got time to clear, but he's really got to pick up the pace. Gets the climb up nicely, and now for the walk across. He's taking his time with the jumps. I understand he doesn't want to fail this. Ooh, just barely catches on that ledge, but he's through it. Now for the climb down, and he's past it. 30 seconds now for the pendulum swing. He's gonna have to send this obstacle. And he does, and he's past it. Fourth wall, he's gonna want to get up this in one. Can he do it? He will not, and now he's not gonna have enough time to clear the stage. But can he at least beat that wall? DJ has time to bond up. Can SASUKE get up it? Can't get up on his third attempt. The klaxon sounds. Fourth attempt, come on, get up it. He does finally. And just enough time to attempt the wingnuts, but that is where he is going to time up. Still a great run, nothing to be ashamed of. After that impressive run, we saw 4 not-so-impressive runs from 4 newcomers. First was Mikey Slays, whom the only thing he was going to be slaying was the water, as he went out at the end of the 12 timbers. Then 2 went out on the Saturn. First was Elabella 10203, who just undershot the dismount and touched the water, thus being disqualified. Then Lucky Clover 1616, who wasn't so lucky, as he failed to get over the hurdle and then couldn't catch the ring to rebound. And finally was DXVXX, who, after taking what felt like forever to get moving, did get past the 12 timbers, only to become the first victim of the rolling boulder this tournament. Now up is regular Ty_Dylan, who's going to drink his invisible eggnog before attempting the stage. And he's making his second appearance on the course. Last time he competed was back in Tournament 18, where he went out on the jumping spider. Let's see if he can do better on his second attempt. The special 20th anniversary tournament. Or just 20th tournament. Whatever. Anyway, he's past the 12 timbers, and now for the rolling boulder. Gets past that nicely. Now for the Saturn. Can he handle this? Gets over the hurdle, and he's through it. Now for the spinning rings. How will he approach this? He's going to do the right technique. Well, up until the second ring, then he started to rush it a bit. That didn't really work out for him. And speed through the third ring, and he's past the spinning rings. Jumping spider now. This is where he went out on his last appearance. He catches onto it. The climb out, gets that nicely. Now for the walk across. Getting through that nicely. Now for the climb down. And he beats his nemesis. Now for the pendulum swing. How will he do this? He will lose his grip on the first pendulum, and he's the first victim of the pendulum swing. And now on the start line is Newcomer Football Fan 0506. Been waiting a long time to get his shot at the course, and now he's gonna get it. 95 seconds for him. How will he do? As time begins. First obstacle to 12 timbers. Getting through this rather cautiously. And he ends up undershooting the jump to the 5th log, and he's out on the first obstacle. Bad luck for him. Next up is a competitor making his 10th appearance on the course, and is wearing the number 10 this tournament. It is veteran Ninjas for the win 64. Competing for the first time since tournament 17, and he screwed up his return by undershooting the jump to the 3rd log of the 12 timbers, and he's out on the first obstacle yet again. And now up is regular Almighty Raven, making his 2nd appearance on the course. He made his debut in the last tournament, where he went out on the rope glider. The rope glider is no longer on the course, so if he wants a new personal best, he's gonna have to get past the 12 timbers. Which he has done. Anyway, while this is happening, I'm gonna go ahead and say, something I never got to say during Ninjas' run, is that the reason Ninjas was wearing the number 10 was not because it was his 10th appearance on the course, that's purely a coincidence, I promise, but because the original competitor, who is going to wear number 10, is currently wearing number 30, because, as stated earlier, Mega Arcade Dude 123 and 95 Mike didn't show up to compete, so I had to give the number 10 to someone else, so it was randomly given to Ninjas for the win 64. And as I say that, All My Raven has fallen the jumping spider. But still a good run. And now we have newcomer NWoR Fan, a long time of the fan of the show, finally get his chance for an official run on the special 20th tournament. Getting through 12 timbers rather slowly, and he ends up slipping off the 3rd board and he's out. And now up is regular Walter XD, making her 4th appearance on the course. She's competed in every tournament since her debut in Tournament 17. And on her debut, she came so close to clearing Stage 1, but went out on the last obstacle. In the past 2 tournaments, she went out on the Jumping Spider, hoping to avoid failing for a 3rd tournament in a row, and get even further, and finally clear Stage 1. And on the rolling boulder, what the heck? A bit of a lag spike as a roller was rolling down the track, but she still hung in there. Anyway, now for the Saturn. Oh, she's having a hard time getting over the hurdle. And she ends up getting over a 3rd time, just barely gets onto the ring, and he's cleared the Saturn. Oh my goodness. You don't see that happen where someone managed to recover on the Saturn without getting over the hurdle first time, but she managed to make it work and does the right technique on the spinning rings to get past it. Now for the Jumping Spider. Can she conquer this like she did on her debut? It's the same version was on past few tournaments. Anyway, climbing up. She's starting to slow down a bit. I don't know if she's lagging or what, but she's really taking her time here. And she ends up undershooting the jump to that leg, and she's out on the Jumping Spider for a 3rd tournament in a row. But real quick, let's take another look at not that lag spike on the rolling boulder that she managed to overcome, but her save on the Saturn. She didn't get over the hurdle on her 1st and 2nd attempts, but by a miracle she had just enough space on the ring lift to back up a bit and go for a 3rd attempt, and then she was able to get atop of the hurdle. But she didn't stop there. She then decided to take a risk and make a leap of faith to catch onto the ring, which she did and cleared the obstacle. And although she ended up going out on the Jumping Spider for a 3rd tournament in a row, probably because she started to lag during the climb up, the fact that she managed to save herself from going out on the Saturn like that is currently the biggest highlight of the tournament. And that's going to be tough to beat. Next up is Yuxinator, one of the most respected and most active members in the ninja community, and a mod on my Discord server. If you haven't joined that already, I'll link it that's in the description. Making his debut on the course, and I believe this was the first course on Roblox he ever competed in, but I'm not too sure. You can ask him for that. Anyway, this was the phase when he had wings, which of course he was known beforehand that he was not allowed to use, so he's got them tucked. Stuff folded, whatever. Anyway, he's now past the Saturn and now onto the spinning rings, and he just overshoots the jump onto the 1st ring, and he's yet another victim of the spinning rings. And now attempting the course is veteran Takeda Toshihiro, who's back making his 7th appearance on the course. He made his debut back in Tournament 6, and he competed in every tournament up until Tournament 9, where he took a break and didn't compete for his 5th time until Tournament 12, and his last appearance on the course was back in Tournament 15. And now he's back for the 20th tournament, hoping to show that he still got it. And he cleared Stage 1 for his 1st, and currently only time back in Tournament 7. And so far, he's doing pretty well. He's onto the spinning rings. Oh, he's going to do the right technique up until the 2nd ring when it started to spin, then he started to send it, but ended up overshooting the back end of it. Let's go ahead and fast forward the next 4 newcomers who took to the course afterwards. First was XX the underscore coolest XX, who got more cool by falling in the cool water upon failing the 12 timbers. Then Ninjas for Life 37, I have nothing witty to say about him. He got further on the 12 timbers, but ended up failing them as well. Spongorp, whom I also have nothing witty to say about, struggled to get the ball rolling, or in this case boulder, and ended up failing it. And finally, the best runner so far, Nervous Roblox Oil, had a hard time on the Jumping Spider, but eventually got past it, but after failing to get up the word wall in his first attempt, sealed his fate, and timed up just inches away from the finish button. A heartbreaking end, but now that's 19 attempts at Stage 1, with no one clearing yet. And now ready to take on the course wearing the number 20 is regular Andrus is the Ninja, making his 6th appearance. He made his debut in Tournament 11 under his original name Andrus Stacy, changed it to Andrus is the Man in Tournament 12, and then again to what it is now in Tournament 13. He took a 4-tournament break following his personal best in Tournament 14 to return in the last tournament, where he went out on the Saturn. And after a bit of a slow start, he is past the 12 timbers. Less than 80 seconds as he's about to do the rolling boulder. This took him out in Tournament 12, and oop, almost falls off, but he catches onto it. Now for the Saturn, that took him out in the last tournament, he did it again. This time he didn't even catch onto the ring. That's 2 tournaments in a row now, he's fallen on the Saturn. Next up is regular RW the Gamer, making his second appearance on the course. He made his debut in the last tournament, where he went out on the rope glider. Rope glider is no longer on the course, so he's going to have to take his revenge out on the 12 timbers, which he has successfully done. Now for rolling boulder, how will he handle this? He will fall too far forward on the boulder, and he is out on it. Now on the start line is Newcomer Soccer Dude 2005, the first newcomer since Euxinator to not get the fast forward treatment. Don't know why that's relevant, but whatever. I guess 2005 was his prime in soccer. It obviously can't be Roblox related because apparently this dude was either born or in his prime in 2005, and Roblox wasn't made until 2006. So that conspiracy theory is debunked, as he's past the 12 timbers and onto the rolling boulder, which he has failed, just like RW the Gamer. Next up, wearing the number 23, is Undeclinable Newcomer. 95 seconds for him. Takes a couple seconds to get going, but now he's off. Going quickly through the 12 timbers, as you should. Probably going to be saying that a lot throughout this tournament. And he's past the 12 timbers, which he'll probably also be saying a lot throughout this tournament. Now for the rolling boulder. Well, I have to say he went on this 3rd time in a row. So he's struggling to get the boulder rolling. But he's past it now. Caught onto the edge. And now for the Saturn. Can he get past this? Gets over the hurdle and... What just happened? Let's take another look at that. He got over the hurdle, but it looks like he just slightly missed the ring. Yeah, he just slightly missed the ring. I don't know what more to say, except that that's just a bit unfortunate. And now up, we have an Aussie bro wannabe by the name of Dill Pickle Bluehouse, which is basically Aussie minus the purple hair and cap. But he's got the Aussie bro shirt, which is really just a Rubik's Cube shirt, but I digress. Anyway, let's see how he does on his first time on the course. His time begins, and he's on to the 12 timbers. Getting through him quickly. So he may not be a speed demon, but he's doing his best to be like one. You know, he's got to be faster than 12 timbers. The rolling boulder. Doing this. Getting it rolling. Jumps at the right time. Maybe he's not such a wannabe after all. And it gets on lay onto the Saturn. But he gets over the hurdle. Now he's past it. I spoke too soon there. Anyway, spinning rings now. He's going to go straight forward. He's going to gun. He's not going to ride the rings. And he's past him. Now for the jumping spire. Still got a minute left. He's actually doing pretty well for someone dressed like Aussie Bro. I guess if you put on the Aussie Bro attire, you'll be a speed demon yourself. Or some variation of it. You get past the jumping spider. Yes, he will. Still got plenty of time. And now for the pendulum swing. Can he get by this? Oh, he caught to the second pendulum, and he lost his grip on it, and he's out. A good run, but not good enough. Next up is veteran Chivalry, who's making his 8th appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 8, where he was one of the 20-plus victims of the reverse jump hang. His best performance was in Tournament 14, when he went out on the Delta tank of Stage 2, and that was his first and only time clearing Stage 1 on this course. He last appeared in Tournament 18, where he went out on the Saturn. So if he wants another chance at it, he's going to get past the rolling boulder. He should have no problem with this, he's never failed it before. Alright, well, he's having a hard time getting it rolling. Got it rolling now, and he fails to catch it and hits the bottom, and he's out on the rolling boulder for the first time in his career. Next up, making his debut to the course is Penapox. If I recall correctly, he's a respectable member of the Wipeout Roblox community. Or at least the Wipeout community on Roblox. Whatever. I don't even know if that's still a thing today. Yeah, it definitely was back then. Anyway, first time on the course, and he was told that his run starts when the lamps light up, but it took him a few seconds to get started. There's no horn to let you know that you gotta start. Anyway, he gets past the 12 timbers, a pretty good pace, and now for the rolling boulder. Bit of a slow start, but it looks like he's starting to pick it up a bit. Now we do on the rolling boulder, he will get past it. Now for the Saturn. Gets over the hurdle, and he is past it. Now for the spinning rings, can he get through these? Going straight for them. And he's past them. Not many people are having much trouble with the spinning rings. Anyway, now for the jumping spider. He's up it. Now for the climb up. Good. Now for the walk across. He's going for the straight forward rather than the side jump technique. Oh, he just barely catches onto that ledge at the top. But he's past the jumping spider. Now for the pendulum swing. He's going to let him pick up the pace if he hopes to clear stage 1. Oh, he just barely catches onto the second pendulum and he slips off it and he's out. And now we have veteran Lugia12358 returning for his landmark 10th appearance. He made his debut in Tournament 7 where he went out on the spin bridge. He competed in every tournament since his debut up until Tournament 14. He's going pretty slow in the 12 Timbers, which is not a good sign on his landmark 10th appearance. Anyway, he cleared Stage 1 in Tournaments 12 and 14, but has never gotten past the Salmon ladder. He missed Tournament 15, but came back in Tournament 16, which was the last time he competed, and he went out on the Pillars of Doom. And he's just getting past the rolling boulder now, but he's only down to about a minute. He's got to wait for the Saturn. Good match we can attempt it. He's not going fast in this course, which is not a good sign. There's landmark 10th appearance. I wanted to see him do well. Oh no, he just undershot the dismount on the Saturn. He is out on it. And he ends up undershooting the jump to the second ring on the spinning rings. But unfortunately, as we just saw, similar to Elabella 10203, he didn't get a good running jump off of the ring of the Saturn and just undershot the dismount, which resulted in a disqualification and is unfortunately going to count as a Saturn fail. Well, from one veteran to another, next up is the Coffee Addict, making his 6th appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 14, where he went out on the Pillars of Doom. He missed Tournament 15, but came back in Tournament 16, where he cleared Stages 1 and 2. He did it again in Tournament 17, but both times he went out on the Six Flags of Stage 3. And he was on pace to be in the next All-Star, but since the new terrain, things haven't gone his way, as he fell on both the Jumping Spider in Tournament 18 and the Saturn in the last tournament. He's on to the Saturn now. This is what took him out in the last tournament. He failed to get over the hurdle, but he's done it this time. And he's got his revenge on the Saturn. Now for the spinning rings. Can he handle these? He's going to do the ride technique. As for the second one, it didn't want to cooperate, but now he's past it. And now for the jumping spider. You can argue that he had a case for this one on his fail. It's a bit controversial as he kind of failed to dismount on it. Doing the side jump technique, and he bounces off the third ledge of the walk section of the jumping spider, and he's out on it again. This time not so controversial. Well, now we have a newcomer named Shady Cats. Wonder what makes him so shady. Because of the NWoR shirt? I highly doubt it. But anyway, let's see how he does on his first time on the course. 95 seconds on the 12 Timbers, and he ends up not getting a jump off the second log, and he's out. An early exit for this newcomer. And now for the first of the specially invited competitors to compete in this tournament. Wearing the number 30 for this tournament is Dylan JP 1111. He made his debut all the way back in Tournament 2, where he put on a good show, but unfortunately timed up on the Great Wall. He's going to be held back by the Great Wall and his time is up. He missed the following 2 tournaments, but returned in Tournament 5, where he was one of the 25 competitors undone by the Rising Steeples. Oh, and he falls getting to the third steeple. After that, he was never seen again on this course. But now he's back, making his 3rd appearance, even if it's only as a one-time thing, for old time's sake. Since he did compete in one of the earlier tournaments, he was given an invite to compete, and he accepted it, so now, here he is. Let's hope he hasn't gotten too rusty since his 4-year absence. Anyway, most of these obstacles will be new to him, the exception being the rolling boulder, although the one he faced back in Tournament 5 was a lot easier than the one he's about to face right now. This one's got 1 drop, And of course, not counting the end, he just barely managed to get to dismount. Or catch on to at the end. But he's passing it now for the Saturn. Handles that nicely, gets over the hurdle, and he's baiting it. So not too bad for his return. We're spinning rings now, and he ends up losing his footing on the second ring, and he's out on the spinning rings. Not a bad comeback for this long-time competitor. Well, we're now 30 runs into this tournament, and no one has cleared this new first stage, with only one of those 30 getting to the last obstacle. However, we're nowhere close to the end of stage 1 yet. Let's see how the next wave of runners fare on this course. Alright, next up is veteran Prego is Better, back making his third appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 17, where he cleared Stage 1, but then went out on the triple salmon ladder of Stage 2. His last appearance was in Tournament 18, where he went out on the rope glider, the previous first obstacle of Stage 1. And as I say all this, he is already on to the Saturn, the third obstacle of Stage 1. Oh, he's having a hard time getting over the hurdle, but he managed to back up and get over it this time, and he's cleared the obstacle. Spinning rings now, he's going right for it, and he gets by. Well done. Now for the jumping spider. Still got plenty of time left. Alright, he's up it. Now for the walk across. Getting through it nicely, and he kind of bounces off that top ledge of the down section. He is out on the jumping spider. Or at least he did better than he did on his last appearance. From one veteran to another, this is Hitted_JPEG, formerly known as Rob the Constraint Guy. He's making his second appearance. And he made his debut in the last tournament, where he cleared Stage 1 and finished the tournament in third place. He competed in the previous NWoR Versus under the name Call 8 Laxatives. By the way, get used to these name changes by this guy, because they aren't stopping anytime soon. Why does he change his name in between tournaments and events? I don't know, but it's his money and he can waste it in any way he pleases, such as failing to get over the hurdle on the Saturn. A giant step back from how he did in Tournament 19. Next up, we have a newcomer by the name Toon Link III. As we already guessed, the first Toon Link is still dealing with Ganon. I don't know what happened to the second Toon Link. I guess it doesn't really matter. Anyway, he's onto the 12 timbers. Getting by them nicely. I mean, yeah, he's a young version of the hero in time, so you expect good jumping from this guy. Then again, I don't know much about Link being a jumper, but I digress. Anyway, he's onto the rolling boulder. Going at a very slow pace, actually. And he's just now onto the Saturn. How will he do here? He's onto the ring. Can he get over the hurdle? He will not, and he's out on the Saturn. And now we have the return of regular Chase MK299. He's back making his second appearance on the course. He last competed in Tournament 15, which was his debut tournament, where he went out on Conveyor Hill, a former first obstacle. Now he is on to the new first obstacle of 12 timbers. And he has passed it, so this is already a new personal best for him. Yeah, last time he competed, it was Tournament 15. I mean, try to think of something. Almost went out on the rolling boulder there, but he's caught on and he's baiting it, and now for the Saturn. How we do here? Gets over the hurdle nicely. So it's obvious he's put on the practice. He wants to do well. Alright, for the spinning rings, he's going to do the right intent. He's going to ride the rings. The safe tactic. It's not known for going fast, but he's through it. Alright, he's onto the jumping spider, but look at the time. He may want to pick up the pace if he hopes to clear stage 1. Alright, he's up the walk section, he's up the climb section, and now for the walk across. Can he get through this? Going through it slowly. Alright, now for the climb down. And he's passed it, but he's only down to 30 seconds. Not sure he's going to have enough time, but now he's onto the pendulum swing, and he doesn't get a good swing off the first pendulum, and undershoots the transition to the second pendulum, and he's out. But still a great run for Chase, and welcome back to the course. We're just lining up these veterans early on in this tournament, aren't we? Because now we're on to another veteran, Eggseni Leaves, who's making his 11th appearance on the course. He's competed in almost every tournament since his debut in Tournament 9, only missing Tournament 18. He cleared Stage 1 for the first time in his career on his 5th appearance in Tournament 13, but his personal best was on his 8th appearance at Tournament 16, where he was one of only four competitors that tournament to reach stage 3. In the last tournament, he failed the jumping spider. Now he's onto the spinning rings, going for the right technique. Well, now he started to go for it, and he's passed it. Now for the jumping spider, the obstacle that took him out in the last tournament. Down to less than a minute. Can he get by? Now for the walk section. Taking his time preparing the jumps, it's a good idea, but you do have to move. You are on timing. A little bit of a stumble on the climb down, but he's through it. And now for the pendulum swing. Getting an additional swing. Can he get to the second? He does. Now he just got to make that dismount, and he does. Alright, he's still got 30 seconds. He's going to want to get up this in one and go if he hopes to clear stage 1. Actually, you can afford one more attempt. Can he do it? No, he will not. The difficulty of the warp wall is definitely making this more of a struggle than it needs to be. 20 seconds now. I don't think he's going to have enough time to clear stage 1. Which is unfortunate, but he's finally at the warp wall. And now for the wingnuts. The klaxon is about to sound. He's not going to have enough time to clear the stage, unfortunately. But let's see how far he will go before his time expires. Or if he'll just slip up one of the wingnuts. He will fail the transition to the cannonball climb as his time expires. But still a really good attempt by this veteran. It's a shame we won't be seeing him in stage 2 this tournament. Taking a little break from the veterans running the course, we then saw 4 more competitors have their shot at the course. First was Newcomer KW_X, who rolled out of contention on the rolling boulder. Overused joke, I know. Then Newcomer Surtree, or however you pronounce it, and returning regular J-Man Sarge 33, who hasn't competed since Tournament 18, didn't seem to know what to do on the Saturn, as neither could get over the hurdle. And then finally, regular Epic Ninja Killer 1 got his revenge on the Saturn for taking him out in the last tournament, only to then live up to his name by going out on the reigning Ninja Killer of this stage, the Jumping Spider. So that's now 39 competitors who've taken on this course, and still no one has cleared the first stage yet. But let's see if another of the specially invited competitors can change that. Now on the course is regular Blue Sonic 123. He made his debut back in Tournament 2. On his debut, he made it to the Great Wall at Stage 1 before running out of time on it.
Not gonna clear the Great Wall, no! And he's finished and he's falling off anyway.
It seemed to be beginner's luck for him, as that is his personal best to this day, as he would then go out on the second obstacle of Stage 1 in the following tournament. After that, he wouldn't compete again for the next 9 tournaments, and then he suddenly returned in Tournament 13, where he showed he hasn't seemed to improve much, as he would go out on the first obstacle in Tournaments 13 and 14, before finally getting past it in Tournament 15. He missed out on Tournament 16, but came back in Tournament 17, only to go out on the first obstacle for the 3rd time in his career. On his first 2 appearances in the new terrain, he will go out on the Saturn and the Rope Glider, respectively. Now here he is, making his 9th appearance on the course. Can he finally turn his luck around and get past the 3rd obstacle for only the 2nd time in his Ninja Warrior Roblox career? Time to find out. Competitor number 40. Can he be our first stage clear this tournament? Probably not, but hopefully he can at least get a personal best. Anyways, on to the 12 timbers. And just as I say that, I don't have much hope considering that we've got the sequel to PowerPoint. Yeah, I hate it when that happens. I mean, can you blame me? This is my camera recording studio likes to mess with me sometimes. And it just had to do it to Blue Sonic. Figured, he's not gonna do well, so what's the point in qualifying to this? Well, he almost failed the rolling boulder. That would have been embarrassing. But freeze on the side, but he's supposedly beating it. Down to a minute, and he's going straight for the spinning rings. Not gonna do the right technique, and he's passed it. All right, so yeah, he's already passed the 3rd obstacle for the first time since his debut. And he's on to the jumping spider. You know he wants to get past this. This is his first time ever attempting this obstacle on this course. going on pretty slow. So, quickly down the wall section, he's beating the jumping spider. Well done! Now for the pendulum swing. If he beats this, will be a new personal best. Gets on the second pendulum. Oh, he tried to get to the edge of the second pendulum, but he slipped off and he's out. But nice to see Blue Sonic 123 finally getting back to at least the 6th obstacle on this course. Now onto the course is veteran Dogs Rock 67, making his 5th appearance on the course. He's competed in every tournament since his debut in Tournament 16. Cleared Stage 1 for his first and currently only time back in Tournament 17, where he went out on the spider flip. Speaking of spider, he went out on the jumping spider in the last tournament, which is currently his personal worst, but also in that tournament he was one of the American Ninja Warrior Roblox competitors of that tournament. If you want to know what that was, well, go check out the last tournament. I'm not going to explain it here, because it's irrelevant. Anyway, he's onto the rolling boulder. Doing pretty well. Catches onto it nicely, and now for the Saturn. Should have no problem with this. Alright, he's calling to the ring. Successfully over the hurdle. And, oh no, he undershoots. He kind of just slips off the ring. Doesn't get a jump off and lands in the water. And unfortunately, he is out on the Saturn for the first time in his career. And that's his new personal worst. Next up is Asama Shime. I apologize if I mispronounced it. He's formerly known as John the Great 8000, making his 5th appearance on the course. And it's his first time competing in back-to-back tournaments. He made his debut in Tournament 10, and has been competing on and off since then. He's never done particularly well in this course, as his personal best is the Hanging Orbs in Tournament 10. He's followed the first obstacle since then, including the last tournament, which he's beaten this tournament, only to go out on the second obstacle yet again, so he's currently tied for his personal best. Next up is another former American Ninja Warrior Roblox competitor, the regular Yellow Mailbox, making his 6th appearance on the course. He's competed in every tournament since his debut in Tournament 15, and he surprisingly goes out on the 12 Timbers, which is tied for his personal worst, falling on the first obstacle in Tournament 18. Now up is veteran Sports Dude 06, making his 3rd appearance. He made his debut all the way back in Tournament 5, and he didn't compete for the next 11 tournaments, but then came back in Tournament 17, where he shocked everyone by clearing the first stage. And what was just as shocking was him becoming the only competitor to ever go out on the flying coin of Stage 2. Now here he is again, after missing out on the last 2 tournaments, hoping to prove that it wasn't a fluke or anything or whatever. And almost was there! He just barely managed to get over the hurdle on the Saturn. But he's past it, and now he's onto the spinning rings. Gonna do the ride technique. It's a slow method, but it's also the safest method. But he's through him. Now for the jumping spider. He may want to pick up the pace if he hopes to clear Stage 1 for the 2nd time in his career. Caught onto it. Now for the climb up. Gets that nicely. And now for the walk across. And he undershoots that jump, and he is out on the jumping spider. Alright, now we have a newcomer named Gravitations. A well-respected member of the ninja community on Roblox, at least nowadays. I don't think back then anyone knew much about this guy. Well, anyway, it takes him 5 seconds for him to get the ball rolling. Or I guess, well, not really, just, get started on the course. Speaking of it, now he's on to ball obstacle or rolling boulder. And he quickly gets that ball rolling. Alright, I'm gonna stop. Now for the Saturn, how will he handle this? Gets over the hurdle. And he will get through it kind of nicely. Kind of sluggish, getting out of it. Now we're spinning rings, and he undershoots the jump to the 3rd ring, and he's out on the spinning rings. It was a good try. And now we're on to the Minor Boy 10, making his 2nd appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 18, where he went out on the rolling boulder. Missed down the last tournament. Let's see how he does this time around. First, he's got to get through the 12 timbers, and he gets through them quickly and nicely. Now for a rolling boulder, this took him out in Tournament 18, for his last appearance. Can he get through this time? Catches onto it, and he's beaten it! Almost undershooting the amount off. Past this, so this is now a personal best for the Minor Boy 10. He's past the Saturn. Now for the spinning rings. How will he approach this? He's going to do the riding technique up until the 3rd one, and he has passed it. Now for the jumping spider. How will he do here? He won't even get a jump off and he's out on the jumping spider. But at least it's a new personal best for this wipeout competitor. And now on the start line is our first Kris Kringle cosplayer drinking his invisible eggnog. Coming in as Santa is regular Codemaster 05. He's making his second appearance on the course. He made his debut in the last tournament where he was one of the 25 victims of the rope glider. Since then, he's been putting in the practice and wants to prove that he can get far on this course and that his early fail in the last tournament was a fluke. And I guess him putting together his own training montage was the first step. Well, let's see if his training pays off. He's hoping for a Christmas miracle on this somewhat Christmas-themed course. This is what it was. Well, off to a great start already. Waited 5 seconds before he officially started. Anyways, on to 12 timbers. Going with them really fast. That's good. Gonna make it so that lost time. And he's past it and on to the rolling boulders. This is already a personal best for him. And like I said, last time he went on the first obstacle. Ooh, nice launching dismount on the rolling boulder. Gets over this pattern. And he's beating it. Now for the spinning rings, how will he approach this? He's also going to do the riding technique. Third ring. And he's past it. Now for the jumping spider, down to less than a minute. Still got plenty of time. He definitely made up for that lost time after those 5 seconds of not getting a move on when the lamps lit up. Going through the jumping spider rather nicely, and he's through it. This incredible run from Codemaster. And he's onto the pendulum swing. Gets through that nicely. Never rough dismount, but he's through it. And now for the world wall. This has been causing trouble for our competitors. He can't get up on his first attempt. Can he get on a second attempt? No, he will not. Down to 30 seconds. He's still at that time to clear. And he gets him on his third attempt. Now for the wingnuts. This has been the most time-consuming obstacle next to the wart wall. Alright, he's on to the second wingnut. On to the third one now. Oh, he grabs it. There he goes. He managed to hang on. The klaxon sounds. It's going to be close. He's going to dismount off here. And he does. He's on the cannonball climb. It's going to be close. He's got to speed climb this. There he goes. And he has cleared the first stage with 1.1 seconds left on the clock. And Codemaster 05, on just his second attempt on the course, has become the first competitor this tournament to clear stage 1. After not getting a move on for the first 5 seconds, he picked up the speed, starting with achieving a new personal best by getting to the rolling boulder and having a nice forward dismount on it. He had a bit of a rough dismount on the pendulum swing, and it took him 3 attempts to get up the warped wall, but he could afford those attempts as he still had plenty of time. And he didn't quite need to hit the panic button as he successfully landed on the first cannon of the cannonball climb just as the klaxon sounded, climbed his way to the top, and pressed the button to punch his ticket to stage 2. His training paid off, and he is among the handful to go from failing the first obstacle on his first attempt to clearing stage 1 on his second attempt. Well done, Codemaster 05. From one regular who made his debut in the last tournament to making his second appearance on this tournament to another, this is Renos. Boy, that was quite a mouthful. Anyway, he's making his second appearance on the course, like Codemaster. But unlike Codemaster, he actually got past the Rogue Glider on his debut, and instead went out on the slippery logs. Now, some people are probably wondering why I got rid of the slippery logs. Well, the main reason is because, the slippery logs were just too simple, too basic, and despite the changes like the fact that the logs were a lot more slippery, more difficult last tournament in comparison to its debut in Tournament 18, I just felt it was time to, replace it with something a little more fun to make, and I felt a little more challenging, rather than just having something basic, and that's basically what the slippery logs were. So I basically decided to replace the slippery logs with the double pendulum. Just because the double pendulum, a lot better, and I felt it was more challenging, but that's just me. Speaking of the double pendulum, Renos is onto it now, and if he gets past this, it'll be a new personal best for him. And as I said, he did. And he's still got a buttload of time left as he takes on the Warp Wall. Can't get up on his first attempt. Can he get up on his second attempt? He will not. Approaching 30 seconds, and now he's going to have a third attempt on it. And he gets on it, just like Codemaster. Are we basically just watching a rerun of Codemaster's run? He just went with a different skin tone, whatnot. Well, not skin tone, but good grief. Outfit? Yeah, let's go with that. Well, he's got a lot more time left now. He's on the third wing nut, and can he make it on to the camera climb? Yes, he will. The klaxon is sounding. Climbing does it very quickly, and he is also going to clear the first stage with 4.6 seconds, a little bit delay with pressing the button. But he is now the second competitor this tournament to clear Stage 1. We went from seeing the first 46 competitors fail Stage 1 to now having back-to-back Stage 1 clears. And from 2 regulars making their second appearance on the course, no less. Regardless, well done, Renos. And just like that, we have 2 competitors moving on to Stage 2. But there are still 52 runners left to go, so let's proceed to runner 49. Well, next up is regular Gaio Phoenix 1102. He's making his third appearance on the course. Third official appearance, anyway. Anyway, he made his debut in... Well, I guess I can't say anything now because he went out early on the 12 Timbers, which basically matches his personal worst, which he achieved in the last tournament. And now for a long-time competitor who's going to wrap up the first half of Stage 1. Wearing the number 50 is regular Ekardus. He made his debut in Tournament 2 under the name NiceCat 9009. On his debut, he got to wear number 1, and he also became the first victim of the caution path. Since then, he hasn't had much luck on this course, as he would go out on the first half of Stage 1, failing various obstacles, particularly the spin bridge and reverse jump hang back when they were around. He changed his name to what it is now in Tournament 10, but that hasn't really changed his luck on the course. He missed out on Tournaments 16 and 17, but returned in Tournament 18 with more or less getting the expected results. But now here he is on the 20th tournament, making his 17th appearance on the course, and his 9th appearance as Ekardus. Can he achieve a miracle and at least get past the first half of Stage 1 for only the 3rd time in his career? We're about to find out. Well, Blue Sonic 123 got a miracle and got to the 6th obstacle, which is tied for his personal best. So hopefully Ekardus can achieve something similar or even better. And he's past the 12 Timbers, which is a good start. Now for the Rolling Boulder. This took him out in the last tournament. Can he get past this? He catches onto it, and he is past it. Well done. And now for the Saturn. This will be his first attempt on the obstacle. How will he handle it? Gets over the hurdle nicely. Very good. And he's past the Saturn. Well done. Now for the spinning rings. He's going to go straight for it. And he's past it. Down to a minute as he takes on the jumping spider. This has been his downfall in the past, but can he get through it? If he can get past this, well, it won't be a personal best. He'll try to be tied for his personal best, but anyway. He has passed it! Well done! Now for the pendulum swing. Can he get past this? Can he get achieve a new personal best? Yes, he will! This is a personal best for Ekardus. And he's up to 1-1! He's still got 30 seconds! Plenty of time! Wingnuts! Come on! Is this it? Is this finally the tournament we get to break through? No, it's not! Just I'm about to say it! He fails to catch the second wingnut and he's out! He was so close, yet so far. Let's take another look at that to see what went wrong. He got a good swing on the first wingnut, and he jumped off at the right time to get the distance to the second wingnut. Oh, but if you look closely, he went a little too far to the left of that transition. There's an invisible barrier behind each wingnut that enabled them to swing freely the way they're supposed to and act as the footholds so you can land on each one. Ekardus unfortunately hit that barrier on the second wingnut, and because of that, he couldn't grab onto the second wingnut and plummeted into the water. And Ekardus is once again undone by the first stage. But on the plus side, this is a new personal best for him. Next up is regular Witters. He's making his 12th appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 6, where he went out on the Tarzan ropes. He competed in every tournament since then, up until Tournament 14. He missed out on Tournament 15, and then took a 2-tournament break after going out on the Rolling Boulder in Tournament 16. He returned in the last tournament, where he went out on the Slippery Logs. And the thing about Witters is, he is a guy who can do very well in other courses. And I think he's won a couple. Yet when it comes to this course, he hasn't been so fortunate, as he's only come close to clearing Stage 1 on this course twice. And those were on his first 2 appearances. And as I say that, he almost goes out on the Saturn there, in the end. Kind of glitched out. Now he's onto the spinning rings, and he's going to do the ride technique. And just plays his way through the third one. And now for the jumping spider. 53 seconds left. He can still clear, but he may want to pick up the pace. Prepares for the jump, and he doesn't get a good jump off, and he fails to jump onto the jumping spider. That's been his downfall in the past, and it's his downfall yet again. Now moving on, this is Newcomer Goku first. Well, if he's Goku first, then the Goku we all know of must be like the second or third or whatever, because this Goku isn't wearing orange or has that crazy hairstyle. He's got brown hair and wearing a black shirt. But forget all that, we're going to fast forward ahead to the jumping spider. Onto it around the same time as Witters did. Gets the climb up, and he doesn't get a good jump off the top edge, and is out on the jumping spider. Next up is Newcomer Cookie _Jar. Why he didn't just name himself Cookie Jar, I don't know. But that's not important right now. We're also going to skip ahead to the jumping spider, and going at a very fast pace. Gets the jump onto it, climbs up it nicely, and now for the walk across. Can he get through this? Ooh, almost undershoots that jump. Alright, now for the climb down, and he couldn't hang on, he slips right off, and he's also out on the jumping spider. Must have gotten his hand caught in the cookie jar. Taking a step back from runner 54 to runner 53, this is regular That Random Canadian, making his second appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 18, where he went out on the jumping spider. And he was also the first competitor to go out on the jumping spider that tournament, as he wore the number 3. He missed on the last tournament, now he's back, hoping to improve from his performance on his last appearance. Well, this is a good start. He's past the Rolling Boulder at a pretty decent pace. Alright, he's onto the Saturn. Can he get through this? Yes, he will. Or at least he's over the hurdle, now he's past the Saturn. Now for spinning rings, how will he approach this? He's going to do the riding technique, just on the first one, and he's just going to speed his way through the second and third rings. And now for the jumping spider. This is what took him out in the last tournament. Catches onto it, gets the climb up nicely. Walk across now. Gives it that nicely, and now for the climb down. And he gets his revenge on the jumping spider, so this is a personal best for him. But you know he wants to do better. Pendulum swing. Got a bit caught in the second pendulum, but he keeps hanging on, and he has passed it. Now for the warped wall, he's got 33 seconds. He gets it on his first attempt. Now for the wingnuts. Can he get by this? No, he doesn't. He's out. He didn't get a good swing off the first wing nut and just undershot the transition to the second wing nut. But still a good attempt on just a second appearance on the course. From one regular making his second appearance to another. Whoa, deja vu. This is So Whatever Dude, formerly the founder of the SASUKE Nerds, which is now defunct, as far as I know. Anyway, he made his debut in the last tournament, where he went out on the slippery logs. And coincidentally, like that random Canadian in Tournament 18, So Whatever Dude wore the number 3 in the last tournament. I swear I did not plan this run order. Anyway, gets over the hurdle on the Saturn, and he's past it. Now for the spinning rings. Quite a debut run in the last tournament. I'm going to improve him on that. Bit of a struggle getting the second ring to the, well, spin. Anyway, down to less than a minute, and onto the jumping spider. Can he get past this? Getting the climb up, and now for the walk across. He's on that ledge. Oh, and he ends up slipping off. He managed to barely catch onto it, but then slips right off, and he's out in the jumping spider. Bad luck for him. Next up is regular Kyler DeRusso, formerly known as Enderman Yes Squid No, making his 6th appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 11 under the name Enderman Yes Squid No 90, with a lowercase e and a 90 at the end, where he went out on the Hanging Orbs. He didn't compete again until Tournament 15, where he changed his name to Enderman Yes Squid No, with a capital E and no 90 at the end, and went out on the Bungee Bridge. He's competed in every tournament since then, only missing out on the last tournament. And he's now beaten the Saturn, which he failed in his last appearance in Tournament 18. He also failed a third obstacle in the tournament before that, Tournament 17. And he's undershot the jump to the third ring of the spinning rings, and he's out on it. But hey, at least he didn't go out on a third obstacle this time. Next up is a competitor who's a blast from the past. Nope, sorry. Don't get a competitor profile, because I said so. Anyway, this is Mr. Coolio, veteran formerly known as the Wizards Dude, making his 6th appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 5 under the name Braver Coolio 4, where he went out on the Danger Climb. He changed his name to the Wizards Dude in Tournament 7, where he cleared Stage 1 for his first and only time, and even made it to the final obstacle of Stage 3. After missing Tournament 9 and becoming the last competitor to fail the step pillar in Tournament 10, he disappeared. Until today. He's back with a new name and everything, and he botched it on the Saturn. Way to go. Sheesh, no need to go to pieces on me. And now on the start line is Newcomer 20Dan03, a competitor who's been a bonus runner for so long. And now on the special 20th tournament, he's finally getting his first official appearance on this course. Let's see if he can make it count. He's onto the rolling boulder, going at a pretty decent pace. Has a little struggle getting it rolling, but there he goes. Catches onto it nicely, and he's past it. Now for the Saturn. Oh, he's having a hard time getting over the hurdle, and he fails to do so, and he's out on the Saturn. Back-to-back fails on the Saturn. What else is new? Now we have competitor 59, regular Megag427UI, making his 2nd appearance on the course. He made his debut in the last tournament, where he went out on the Jumping Spider. Now let's see how he does this time around. Gets to the 12 timbers pretty quickly. Now for the rolling boulder. Gets it rolling nicely. Catches onto it, and he's past it. Now Saturn, how will he handle this? Gets over the hurdle very nicely, and he's past it. Look at a little bit of a slip up there. Doing the right handing spin rings just on the first ring, and he's just going to speed his way through the second and third very successfully. Now for the jumping spider. Can he get his revenge on this? Catches onto it. Gets up the climb up quickly. Bit of hesitation, but praying each jump on the walk section. Gets through it, and oh, it looks like he ended up dismounting the climb down, like halfway down it. Whatever. Anyway, there's like a barrier or something that kind of prevents you from like trying to cheat, like going from the top of the jumping spider, so you have to climb down. But yeah, as I try to say all that, he quickly gets through the pendulum swing and gets up the warp wall in his first attempt, and he's already onto the wingnuts with less than 30 seconds. He should have more than enough time to clear this stage, as long as he doesn't screw up. Kind of catches that third wingnut, but, you know, says he gets back on it. And gets a good swing onto the cannonball climb, and he's climbing up it pretty cautiously. But Megag427UI is going to clear the first stage as soon as he gets close to the button and presses it. There he goes, and he clears with 7.5 seconds left. Megag427UI has become the third competitor in this tournament to clear stage 1. What an incredible run! Megag had little to no trouble on this stage. After hesitating a bit on the walk section of the jumping spider, he got through it and got halfway down the climb down section of the jumping spider before dismounting it surprisingly. He got up the warped wall on his first attempt and had more than enough time to carefully get momentum going on each swing of the wingnuts and carefully climbed up the cannonball climb to reach the button. And Megag427UI joins Codemaster05 and X Renos in both Stage 2 and the Clearing Stage 1 on their second appearance club. Well done, Megag. All 3 competitors who have cleared so far have all been regulars making their second appearance on this course, and they've all cleared with less than 10 seconds left on the clock. Both the warped wall and the wingnuts have proven to be the biggest time killers on this stage. Nevertheless, that's still 3 who will run stage 2 later. Right now, we must proceed with stage 1 with the competitor wearing the number 60. Our next competitor is yet another blast from the past. Returning to the course is veteran Monkey Boy 15. He made his debut back in Tournament 2, where he was undone by the separating corners. He would compete in every tournament since then, up until his last appearance in Tournament 10, where he would go out on the hanging orbs. His personal best was in Tournament 3, where he beat Stage 1 and even made it to Stage 3 before going out on the floating boards. After that, he would never get to return to the second stage, as he would go out on various obstacles in Stage 1, particularly the Danger Climb in Tournaments 5 and 7, and the Ramp Climb in Tournaments 8 and 9. The only time he came close to clearing Stage 1 since Tournament 3 was in Tournament 6, where he would time up on the Tarzan ropes after getting caught up on them and the broken windmill. But now, after 10 tournaments, he has come back for his landmark 10th appearance on the course. Let's hope he hasn't gotten too rusty since the last time he competed. Monkey Boy 15. We'd like to see him get far on this course, and maybe surprisingly clear Stage 1. We'll see. Well, not the best start. It took 5 seconds for the lips to get going when Lance lit up, and we start playing around. Typical monkey. Anyway, getting through the 12 timbers pretty quickly, and he's past them. Rolling boulder now. He's never faced this version of the obstacle. Whoa, comes crashing face. Kind of face planted at the end there. What is G-Man doing on the Saturn? I mean, he's running later. I don't know why he's there all of a sudden. Well, anyway, Monkey Boy's past the Saturn and onto the spinning rings. And he looked a little confused on that second ring. But he is past it! And now he's up to the jumping spider, and we're gonna have to see it all done in this format. Anyway, let's see how he is. On the climb section of the jumping spider, this is the best run we've seen on Monkey Boy in a while. Not counting the times he failed early on stage 1, this back in the past. Anyway, now for the climb down, but he's only got 30 seconds though. I don't think he's got enough time to clear, but can he at least get past the pendulum swing? He's on to the second, and he can't hang on. He slipped off the second pendulum, and he's out on the pendulum swing. But a breath of fresh air to see Monkey Boy get far on this course, despite not competing in the past 10 tournaments. And now onto the course is veteran Snivy making his 7th appearance on the course. And yes, it is, you see his Daniel Pokemon Tosh, but he prefers to be called Snivy. I guess he just thought of that, well after this was recorded, but I digress. Anyway, he last competed in Tournament 18, where he cleared Stage 1. He made his debut in Tournament 11, where he failed the Jumping Spider. He first cleared Stage 1 in Tournament 12, and he'd been competing somewhat inconsistently, competing in Tournament 13, missing Tournaments 14 and 15, before returning in 16, where he failed the Jumping Spider for a second time. He timed up just short of the finish line in Tournament 17, and then cleared Stage 1 for a second time in 18. And that's pretty much all I have to say regarding that. Now let's see how Snivy does. He's already onto the Jumping Spider, which has taken him out twice. Is he going to fail for a third time? Well, he's getting through it nicely. Now for the climb down, and he's through it, so no, he's not going to fail it for a third time. Now for the pendulum swing. How will he handle this? He managed to awkwardly hold on to the second pendulum, and he's through it now onto the warped wall. And he's up on his first attempt. Well done. Less than 40 seconds. He's got the most time remaining out of all the competitors so far. Or at least we've gotten to this point. Anyway. Second wingnut now. Getting a good swing. And now he's on to the third one. Now he's just going to swing onto the cannonball climb. And a bit of a swing cut there. But now he's onto it. Readjusts himself. And now he's climbing up the cannonball climb. Can he beat the klaxon? Just barely! He managed to clear Stage 1 for his second tournament in a row, and his third time overall, clearing with just over 10 seconds left. And he's the first veteran in this tournament to clear Stage 1, and the 4th competitor overall. Now we're on to veteran Tyler Roberts 928, who's making his landmark 10th appearance on the course. He got his breakthrough performance in the last tournament by clearing Stage 1 for the first time in his career. He made his debut in Tournament 10 under the name Coffee Mug 20013, where he failed the step pillar. He changed his name to what it is now in Tournament 13, where his results didn't change much, as he would never get past the 4th obstacle until Tournament 17. He missed out on Tournament 18, but returned in the last tournament, where he cleared Stage 1. And now here he is onto the Saturn, easily over that, and he's cleared the Saturn. Now for the spinning rings, these have been made a little more difficult, but not a problem for Tyler. And now for the jumping spider, this was his downfall in Tournament 17, but he did beat it in the last tournament. Can he do it again? No, he will not! He will slip up just as he got the climb up, and his nemesis from Tournament 17 has come back to bite him. That's unfortunate. No back-to-back Stage 1 clears for you, Tyler. Following Tyler's fail, 5 more competitors took to the course just to fail as well. First was Newcomer, always bid at everything, who showed that he was bid at getting over the hurdle on the Saturn. Then 2 more went out on the spinning rings. First was Newcomer Boonloon, who went out on the transition to the third ring in order to put his fire out. Then regular secret underscore lion came back after missing out on the last tournament, only to slip off on the back end of the second ring. Next was regular Shunsuke Nagasaki 1, who didn't get a good jump off the trampoline to latch onto the jumping spider. And finally, Newcomer Bluefill had a really good run, but struggled to get up the warped wall, and when he eventually did, time was not on his side, and neither was the cannonball climb. And now on the start line, being as jolly as one can be, it's another Santa. The next competitor coming in as Old Father Christmas is Evil X. He's making his 4th appearance on this course. He made his debut in Tournament 17, where he was one of 10 victims on the retired Broken Cycle. He's competed in every tournament since then. He then went out on the Rolling Boulder in Tournament 18, and he was the first competitor of the last tournament to go out on the Jumping Spider. Since then, he's really been putting in the practice to hopefully get further on this course, and hopefully clear the first stage. It worked for Codemaster05, putting together a training montage and donning a Santa outfit, so maybe it'll work the same for Evil X. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, 95 seconds for him. He's on the 12 timbers, going at a really good pace. I like this technique. All these side jumps. Like 4 jumps for the ones on the right side, and side jump for the left side. Anyway, as of now, one for the rolling boulder. A bit of a lad there. Oh, he's caught the rolling boulder, and no, he slips off on the dismount. Let's take another look at that. It was a bit of a laggy start, but it didn't seem to affect the outcome. But looking at it again, he was going for the technique that most other competitors use on this obstacle of jumping off the boulder when it's about 2/3 down the track to then land on it when it hits the stoppers. I think he might have jumped just a little bit too soon, as he kind of landed slightly on the back end of the boulder, which caused him to bounce off of it, but he still managed to grab onto it and save himself. But then the boulder started to roll backwards as he tried to go for the dismount, and because of that, he couldn't get back onto the boulder and fell in the empty space between the boulder and the dismount. And for the second time in his career, Evil X has been beaten by the rolling boulder. Moving on, this is regular Ryder Lee Angle, making his 5th appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 15, where he was one of the 39 victims of Conveyor Hill. He missed to Tournament 16, but came back in Tournament 17, becoming the only competitor to go out on the tire pressure. In the past 2 tournaments, he's been given a very high number. In Tournament 18, it's being a qualifier course host, and in the last tournament, it's being one of the 10 American NWoR Roblox competitors. But he went out on the rope glider and rolling boulder respectively. So he has the potential to get far on this course, but things haven't gone his way. And Tournament 17 is still his personal best, and will continue to do so as he couldn't get over the hurdle on the Saturn. Next up is another veteran whom we haven't seen in a while. Wearing the number 70 is longtime veteran Chubbs. He's making his 11th appearance on the course. He was one of the first 15 competitors to ever compete on this course. Back then, he was known as Chubbs 26. He's competed in every tournament since his debut, up until Tournament 6, and he's only beaten Stage 1 twice. The first time was on the very first tournament, being one of 8 to do so, before going out on the original terrible design of the swapped salmon ladder. The second and final time was in Tournament 3, where he also got to stage 3 in that same tournament before eventually going out on the floating boards. After Tournament 6, he's been competing on and off, competing in Tournaments 8, 10, 13, and his last appearance, 17, where he changed his name to what it is now. He originally wasn't going to compete in this tournament, but after receiving a special invitation for competing in Tournament 2, he didn't want to turn it down, so he accepted the invite, put in some practice, and now here he is. Let's see how he does. He's off to a good start, getting through the 12 timbers nicely. Not the best pace, but he's passed it. Now for the rolling boulder. This was his downfall in Tournament 13. Can he get past it this time? Yes, he will. Well done. And now for the Saturn. How will he do? Gets over the hurdle. And a bit jumpy at the end there, but he's beaten the Saturn. Now for the spinning rings. How will he approach this? He's going to do the riding technique. The safe way to get past this obstacle, but it isn't the most time consuming. But whatever works. But he's passed it. Now for the jumping spider. This was his downfall in Tournament 17, his last appearance. Gets up the climb nicely, and now for the walk across. Oh, almost overshoots the jump to that second to last peg on the walk section. But he gets the climb down nicely, and he's beaten the jumping spider. He's onto the pendulum swing now. His time's starting to run out. He's going to have to hurry. He's passed it. Now for the warp wall. He's going to want to get up this one if he hopes to clear stage 1, and he does! Alright, 25 seconds. That's around the amount of time you need in order to get past the obstacle. Good grief, I can't talk anymore because I'm so excited because I don't know for sure if Chubbs is going to get past this. But he's going through this at a really quick pace. I think this is the fastest pace anyone's gotten through the wingnuts. The klaxon is sounding, but he's onto the cannonball climb. As long as he doesn't make a mistake, he'll do it. And Chubbs is going to clear the first stage. He does with 3.5 seconds left. And for the first time since Tournament 3, Chubbs is moving on to Stage 2. He had a little bit of a bounce near the end of the Saturn, but nothing to worry about. He almost overshot the jump to that second peg on the walk section of the jumping spider, but he quickly recovered and got his revenge on the obstacle. He got past the pendulum swing very nicely, even as his time started to run out, but he made up for lost time by getting up the warped wall in one attempt. And he had the fastest pace on the wingnuts, which even though he didn't clear with the fastest time, it was still enough to clear the stage overall and punch his ticket to Stage 2 for the third time in his Ninja Warrior of Roblox career. Well done, and welcome back, Chubbs. After 70 runs on this first stage, we have 5 moving on to Stage 2. 3 regulars, each making only their second appearance on this course, and 2 veterans. And one of those 5 have proven that Stage 1 can be beaten with more than 10 seconds remaining. But there are still 30 competitors left to run Stage 1, including the best of the best. So the number of Stage 1 clears is sure to increase. So let's head back to Stage 1's starting line to keep this tournament going with our next challenger. Next up is the competitor who has something to prove. Making his 7th appearance on the course is Kink Sparkety. He's been competing in every tournament since his debut in Tournament 14, where he originally went by the name Robloxia Ninja 10. Although he's yet to clear Stage 1, never getting past the halfway point, he's never fallen on the same obstacle more than once. Not necessarily the same obstacle number, but just the obstacle altogether. In the last tournament, he achieved a personal best by getting to the jumping spider, but unfortunately, he suffered a heartbreaking defeat as he got caught up by the truss supports on the walk section and was disqualified, which is what led to the obstacle getting a redesign for this tournament. After that, he's been putting in the practice to prove that this is his tournament to shine. Can he pull through this time around, or will the course be not so jolly to him? King Sparkety, who is not a veteran like that graphic implies. I'm pretty sure that's an oversight, but not that big a deal really. Anyway, King Sparkety, 95 seconds. And all these obstacles starting with the 12 timbers. Getting through them at a pretty nice pace, and he's passed them. Now for the rolling boulder. He hasn't failed this since his debut in Tournament 14, and it will continue that way. Now for the Saturn. He got through this last time, can he do it again? He is over the hurdle. Pretty nice jump, and he's passed it. Now for the spinning rings, how will he approach this? He's going to do the Ryan technique. The second ring's a little stuck, but now it's spinning. And he's past the spinning rings, less than a minute now. And now for the jumping spider. He was disqualified in this last time, which technically still counts as him going out on it. Can he get past it this time? No, he will not. He will just slightly undershoot the jump to that second ledge on the walk section. And this time he's out on it legitimately. Alright, next up is regular Nexkuri. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, a female competitor making her second appearance on the course. And she's formerly known as Nexku. I also believe that's how you pronounce that. Anyway, she last competed on her debut in Tournament 17, where she went out on the panel flips. So, let's see how she does this time around. Past the rolling boulder. Now for the Saturn. Over the hurdle pretty easily. Comes down the ring and is past the Saturn. Now for the spinning rings. How will she approach this? She's also going to do the Ryan technique. That seems to be the most common technique. Or at least until the second ring stops spinning for some reason. I don't know if that's a technical glitch or a malfunction, but that seems to be a common thing we're running into. Anyway, she's already well past it onto the jumping spider, getting through this very nicely. And for her first time on it, she did really good. Hanging onto the pendulum swing, and she couldn't hang on to the second pendulum, she's out. She kind of struggled to hang on to the first one, but managed to get by it. But then lost her grip on the second, and she's out. And now up is regular Fortunate as OP09, making his second appearance on the course. He made his debut in the last tournament, where he went out on the rolling boulder. And he's also dressed up as Santa. I believe that's the third competitor this tournament to be dressed as him. Although unlike the previous two, he doesn't get his own competitive profile. Anyways, onto the rolling boulder. This is where he fell in the last tournament. Can he beat it this time? Yes, he does, just barely. He was close to undershooting it, but managed to catch on. And he got his revenge on the boulder, now for the Saturn. Taking his time, getting ready for that jump. Whereas you gotta wait for the ring to come back to you if you don't miss it the first time. But he's past the Saturn, now for the spinning rings. How will he approach this? Well, that's one way to approach it, just missing the jump to the first ring altogether. From one competitor who made their debut in the last tournament, where they fell on the rolling boulder, to another, this is Ruby Minerals, another female competitor. And if you weren't paying attention about what I just said about 10-15 seconds ago about her, well then I just feel sorry for you. And she got through the 12 timbers pretty quickly. Now how will she do on the rolling boulder? Will she get her revenge on it? Yes, she will. Now for the Saturn. Can she do this? Can she get over the hurdle? Yes, she will. And past the Saturn. Will she beat the spinning rings unlike Fortunate as OP? She's gonna do the Ryan technique. And that second ring decided to cooperate, and she's gonna just speed run through the second ring, or the third ring, and she's past it. Now for the jumping spider. Catches onto it. Now for the climax, gets her that quickly. For the walk across now. Answer that, now climb down, and quickly gets past the jumping spider. Now for the pendulum swing. Still got time. Oh, and she slips off that second pendulum, and she barely got a good grip on it, and just couldn't hold on. Still a good run, nonetheless. Next up is a competitor who's dancing while his biscuits are burning, before realizing that's a bad idea, and will mark us getting through 3/4 of this stage. Now up to go is veteran Daniel Icewolf RBLX. he's making his 14th appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 6, where he was one of the 34 competitors who went out on the step pillar. He's competed in almost every tournament since his debut, missing only Tournament 11. In his first 9 appearances, he went by the name Ice Wolf Boy 63. He changed his name to what it is now in Tournament 16, his landmark 10th appearance. He finally achieved veteran status in Tournament 17 when he finally defeated Stage 1 for the first time in his career. And he would follow that up by getting to Stage 3 in that same tournament where he finished in 2nd place overall. It took a fail in the spinning rings one tournament later to well maintain his veteran status when he cleared Stage 1 again in the last tournament with the 2nd fastest Stage 1 clear time and finishing the tournament in 4th place. But he wants to go further and beyond this time around, and with the practice he put in since last tournament, he just may be able to do that. Can Daniel defeat Stage 1 for the 3rd time in his career and do it in back-to-back tournaments for the first time?
Or just flop at the very end. That works too.
Daniel, pointing at the end there, that's his goal. And see if he can reach it. 95 seconds. And throughout his career, he's fallen on the first obstacle twice. They're both different obstacles, and they only haven't done his first 2 appearances. But now he's passed it. Now for the rolling boulder, he has fallen on this obstacle twice throughout his career, those being tournaments 8 and 16, which he's passed now. And now for the Saturn. Can he get by this? He hasn't fallen on this so far. He's over the hurdle, and he's beaten it, so he's definitely not going to start falling on it now. Now for the spinning rings, he's going to do the right ending on the first one, and then just speed away across the 2nd and 3rd, and he's passed it. And now for the jumping spider. This obstacle has been its downfall 3 times, being in tournaments 9, 13, and 14. But he's getting through it nicely. Now for the climb down, and he's passed it. This is a good sign, because he usually falls in the first half of Stage 1, so if he gets past the jumping spider, that's a sign that he could clear. He's 2 for 2 when he's past the jumping spider. He's up to 1-1. He's got more than enough time now to plan these swings on the wingnuts. Get good swings on him. Alright, he's on to the 2nd one now. Plenty of time left. Come on, Daniel, and he's on to the 3rd one now. Can he get a good swing off of this and get onto the cannonball climb? Yes, he will. Gets a really good swing, lands on it nicely. And now for the climb up. The klaxon sounds, but it doesn't matter because Daniel is going to clear the first stage for the 3rd time in his career. And it's the first time in his career where he's beaten Stage 1 in back-to-back tournaments. Yes! Next up to go is regular Bill X Ben, making his 5th appearance on the course. He's competed in every tournament since his debut in Tournament 16, getting 1 step further in each appearance. Last tournament, he went out on the jumping spider. And now, let's see how he does in this tournament. He's on the 12 timbers. The first obstacle, it's where he went out on his debut. Back then, it was the shish kebab jumps. But anyway, now for the rolling boulder. Can he get past this? No, he will not. He will slip off the front. And I guess it was only a matter of time before he went on the rolling boulder. The time just caught up with him because he had never fallen on this obstacle before until today. Which is unfortunate that he couldn't get another step further this time. Next up is veteran Tobiz12345, making his 8th appearance on the course. He's competed in every tournament since his debut in Tournament 13. In his first 3 appearances, he had never gotten past the first half of Stage 1, In Tournament 16, he came close to beating Stage 1, until he ended up doing so for the first time in Tournament 17. He took a step back in Tournament 18, going out on the Jumping Spider, but got back to Stage 2 in the last tournament. So let's see if he can do it in back-to-back tournaments. Oh, he can get over the hurdle on the Saturn, and he's fallen on it! For the first time since Tournament 15, Tobiz is out on the first half of Stage 1. That is shocking. Next up to go is regular Xanderbomb, making his second appearance on the course. He last appeared on his debut back in Tournament 16, where he went out on the Shish Kebabs. He hasn't appeared since then, and I believe he's been putting in the practice for this tournament, wanting to make a comeback. Well, he's off to a great start. He's past the 12 timbers onto the rolling boulder. Bit of a close call there, but he's past it, and now for the Saturn. Can he get by this? Hello, another PowerPoint run. Down to less than 70 seconds. He's past the Saturn, and now for the spinning rings. How will he approach this? He's also going to do the Ryan technique, and the second ring took about a couple of seconds to work for him, but he sticks with the Ryan technique, and he's past the spinning rings, and now for the jumping spider. This is already a personal best for Xander. A well personal best. Alright, up, climbs up it nicely. Can he get the walk across? No, he will not. He successfully landed on the second ledge, but then couldn't get a jump off of it. And now on the starting line is regular generic Walmart, making his second or third appearance. I'm not too sure myself. He's previously known as William Tube HD123 in the last tournament. I mentioned I didn't know if he was formerly known as William 0227, which if that's the case, then he made his debut in Tournament 10. I don't recall if I was informed if he was or wasn't, so I'm going to assume it's someone else named William, and this William is making his second appearance on the course, going out on the Saturn last tournament. Anyway, he's already onto the rolling boulder, and he's caught onto it. Now for the Saturn, can he get his revenge on this? Yeah, started the opposite way on the getting onto the ring, but whatever works. He's over the hurdle, and he got his revenge on the Saturn. Now for the spinning rings. Oh, he's gonna run around the rings, but didn't work out so well in the second ring, and he slipped up. And now we're on to runner number 80. Up next is the former star, Superior Okami. He's back making his 14th appearance on the course. He competed in the first 12 tournaments under the name Ryan Maurer. In his first 3 appearances, he cleared the first stage. He achieved a personal best in Tournament 3 by getting to the final stage. And to this day, that is still his personal best. Following that, he was given the rank of All-Star. Unfortunately, he's only managed to clear Stage 1 once since receiving that rank, and that was back in Tournament 6. Since then, he's never gotten any further than the Jumping Spider. After his appearance in Tournament 12, he disappeared for a while. He came back in Tournament 16, where he changed his name to what it is now, but went out on the rolling boulder. Now he's here upon being invited, hoping to get back to his glory days. Or at least getting past the Jumping Spider. Let's just see how far he can get. 95 seconds for him, starting with the 12 timbers. Getting to him a little bit of lag, and it costs him! He ends up failing the transition to the 5th step, and he's out on the first obstacle for the 4th time in his career, and the first since Tournament 11. Not a way for him to go. 20 runners to go, and now we're on to Newcomer XX Saturn King XX. The first newcomer we've seen in a while, and he won't be the last newcomer of this tournament. Anyway, I don't know why some competitors have X in the beginning and the end of their names. It seems kind of pointless to me. But if it's their taste, then more power to them, I guess. Anyway, as the Rumble, now for the Saturn. Gets over the hurdle pretty nicely, and he's past it. Now for the spinning rings. How will he approach this? Do the Ryan technique on the first ring, and then just speed his way across the last 2. I think some competitors have been taking notes that the Ryan technique doesn't always work. or at least, as quick as you want them to. Like when they try to ring all 3 rings, so they just ride the first one, and then just speed through the second and third. And as I say all of that, he's already past the jumping spider and onto the pendulum swing, with not only using up half his time, so he's at a good pace to clear. So now for the wart wall. Can't get up in one. Can he get up on his second attempt? Yes, he will. Now for the wingnuts. Still got a load of time left to prep each swing. Bit of a cut on that first wingnut, but he's on to the second one now. A smooth swing from that to the third one. 20 seconds left. Can he successfully transition to the cannonball climb? Yes, he will, despite that bit of a cut there. And now he's climbing up the cannonballs. And XX SASUKE is going to be the first newcomer of this tournament to clear stage 1. And he does it with 8.4 seconds left. He blazed through the 12 timbers. Had a bit of a run speed strat on the spinning rings. Couldn't get up the warp wall on his first attempt, but did on his second. And had a couple of close calls on the wingnuts, specifically that cut on the first and third wingnuts. But aside from those, he made stage 1 look easy. And for the 10th tournament in a row, we will see at least one newcomer attempt the second stage. Next up is regular Roblox gamer Play 7, making his second appearance. He made his debut in the last tournament, where he went out on the jumping spider. So let's see if he can get his revenge on it this time. Well, first he's got to get there. But anyway, first he's got to get through the 12 timbers, which he's doing so nicely. And he's past it. So let's go ahead and spoil it ahead and skip to the part where he attempts the jumping spider for the second time, hoping to get his revenge on it. Caught onto it nicely. He's climbing now for the walk across. And he doesn't get a good jump off that third ledge, and he failed to get his revenge on the jumping spider. Next up is Newcomer Hotdog Gaming _YT. I'm assuming that's short for YouTube. Anyway, I did say that XX SASUKE was in the last newcomer this tournament, and I was right. But you didn't believe me. Why didn't you believe me? Because of some random newcomer named Hot Dog Gaming? Gaming for hot dogs? Just a gamer who loves hot dogs? Actually, I could go for a hot dog right about now. Bubba loves his hot dogs. Anyway, gets past the rolling bowler and now onto the Saturn. Can he get over the hurdle? Yes, he will. Now for the dismount, he's past that, and now for the spinning rings. How will he approach this? He's gonna go straight for it, but just undershoots the transition to the second ring, and he is out on the spinning rings. And now he's a wet hot dog gamer. And now we have another newcomer on the course by the name of I Has So Much Bounty. I don't know how much bounty he has, but apparently he has so much of it. Well, let's see how he does. Getting through the 12 timbers pretty quickly. That's a good sign. Alright, this is getting boring, so let's skip ahead to the jumping spider. Now this should be more interesting. He's done in less than a minute, and now we have another PowerPoint run. Thank you very much. So let's see how he does through PowerPoint. Gets through the jumping spider quite nicely, and get back to the climb down, he's past it, and now for the pendulum swing. And through the PowerPoint. And he's past it, and now for the wart wall. Can't get up on his first attempt. Can he get up on his second attempt? Yes, he will, and now for the wingnuts. Will he be the second newcomer in this tournament to get past the wingnuts? Well, now he's going to go reset him because it had a bit of struggle hanging on to the first wingnut. Now he's got the first one swinging. He's gone to the second. Oh, almost he lost his grip, kind of overshooting it. That even makes sense. Alright, he's on to the third one now. Can he get to the cannonball climb? Yes, he does. And now he climbs up, and he just undershoots the climb up to the second cannonball. And he's out on the cannonball climb. So close, yet so far. And now we're on to veteran Irrelevant Savage, formerly known as II Savage_Gamer935. He last appeared on his debut in Tournament 18, where he cleared the first stage. Now he's back after missing on the last tournament, so let's see how he does this time around. Quickly through the 12 timbers, and on the rolling bowler, a little bit of a struggle to get it rolling, but now he's got it, and he's beaten it. Almost close call there. And now for the Saturn. Can he beat this? This version was a little easier last time he took it on, but still not a problem for him. Bit of a struggle to get over, but past the Saturn. Now for spinning rings, how will he tackle this? Again, this was a little bit easier last time he took it on, but he's going to do the ride technique on it, and he's passed it. Onto the jumping spider now with 52 seconds remaining. He may want to pick up the pace if he hopes to clear stage 1. Yep. This had a different design to last time he took it on, but it hasn't been made any easier. Getting through pretty slowly. Not the pace you want to go to, but he's passed it. Ooh, almost undershot the dismount. That would have been embarrassing. He would have pulled a coffee addict. Uh-oh, he's caught on the pendulum stream, but he's beaten it. He's down to 30 seconds. He's going to want to get up this in 1 if he hopes to clear stage 1. And he does, so he still has a chance. On to the wingnuts now. First time facing this. Can he beat him? Trying to get a good swing off that first wingnut. Uh-oh. Getting cut off on each swing, but he's now on to the second. He's really going to have to hustle. Come on. He's got to get the full swing. Classic sounds. Oh boy, it's not looking good. He's only up to the third wingnut now, but he catches on the top of it. He's not going to have enough time to clear, and he is going to time up, and his time has expired on the wingnuts just as he catches onto the cannonball, but his time has already expired. But at the very least, Irrelevant Savage didn't touch the water, so at least he stays dry. That doesn't change the fact that he's pretty washed up, at least in this tournament. He began struggling early on in this stage as he struggled to get the boulder rolling and had a bit of a close call on the dismount. He had a little struggle getting over the hurdle on the Saturn, and he did the ride technique on the spinning rings, the most time-consuming technique on this obstacle. On the jumping spider, he was getting through the walk section rather slowly and nearly undershot the dismount. He got caught up on the second pendulum at the pendulum swing, which ate up even more of his time, but he still held on and beat the obstacle and got up the warped wall in 1 attempt, so there was still hope of him clearing stage 1. But his hopes were shattered when he got swing cut twice on the first wingnut because he was applying too much force on the back side of the wingnut, which basically killed all his momentum and chewed up the time he needed to get through the rest of this stage. So unfortunately, Irrelevant Savage won't be clearing stage 1 for his second time, but at least he didn't fall in the water. Moving on, we're now on to runner 86, which is Newcomer Seth9065. Let's see how he does. I'm told that this is a promising competitor. I think told by Aussie Bro, but I'm not too sure. Anyway, it's on the rolling boulder now. Struggles to get it rolling, but now he's got it rolling. And he's passed it. Now for the Saturn. How will we do here? Gets over the hurdle nicely. And he's beaten it. Now for the spinning rings, how will he approach this? He's going to go straight for it. And he is through it. Down to a minute as he takes on the jumping spider. Gets onto it nicely. Now for the climb up. Slow but steady. Now for the walk across. Getting a few save jumps, and he's past it. And now he's past the jumping spider. I meant to say he was past the walk section. But now he's past the jumping spider. Now for the pendulum swing. And he's passed it quite nicely. Now for the warped wall. He can afford a few attempts on this. Can't get up on his first attempt. How will we do on a second attempt? He's up it now, down to 30 seconds, and he takes on the wingnuts. Still got time to clear, but he saw Relevant Savage got caught up on this, and now he got caught up on that One swing, he's taking too many swings now. He can go for it. Down to 20 seconds. He's on to the second wingnut. He's got to get moving. I know he's got to get the right swing, but it only takes a few swings. The klaxon sound. Got to get onto the caramel climb. It's going to be close. Got to start climbing. Come on. You don't have time to mess around. Get going. It's going to be close. No! He walked off the 5th cannonball at the cannonball climb as he was going for the dismount. He was down to less than a few seconds, so there was the possibility of him clearing stage 1. But instead, he has fallen at the top of the cannonball climb. That is devastating. That is really sad to see, but we must move on. We're now on to regular Dino 4564, who's making his 3rd appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 17, where he fell in the broken cycle, which is now retired, so he's not able to get his revenge on it. He missed out on Tournament 18, but returned in the last tournament, where he went 2 steps back by failing the rope glider, which is also retired, so that's now 2 obstacles that he's unable to get his revenge against. But if he can at least get past the Saturn, it'll be a new personal best for him, which he has achieved. Now for the spinning rings. How will he approach this? He's going to go straight for it. And he's past it, and now onto the jumping spider. Still plenty of time left. He's onto it. Getting through quite nicely for his first time on it. Getting through a walk section quickly. And now for the climb down, he's past the jumping spider. Plenty of time left. Now for the pendulum swing. Gets through that nicely, and now for the warped wall. Can he get better on his first attempt? Yes, he will! Chunk of time left as he attempts the wingnuts. Trying to get a good swing off that first one and not chew up too much time, but he doesn't get a good enough swing on the first wingnut, and he undershoots the transition to the second wingnut. But still a really good attempt for Dino on his 3rd attempt on the course, getting a new personal best. And now for one of the most recognizable members in the ninja community on Roblox. This is Ako Milat. I apologize if I mispronounced it. It's really hard to pronounce. But anyway, here he is as a newcomer making his debut on the course. And I believe his debut on any ninja course on Roblox. Anyway, got through the 12 timbers kind of slowly. Not exactly a good sign. But he is past the rolling boulder, and now for the Saturn. Can't catch onto the ring on the first try. Oh, it's kind of late to jump onto the second ring. Well, not exactly the second ring, but, you know, just the next ring to approach. Well, anyway, he's passing it out for the spinning rings. He's going to do the right technique, the slowest technique. And considering the amount of time he's got remaining, that doesn't look good for him. He's down to 50 seconds. He approaches the jumping spider, so that's definitely not a good sign. Well, he finally catches onto it, and now he's climbing up kind of slowly. And he's going through slow in the walk setting. It's a good idea to take each time each jump, or prepare each jump, but if you take too long, you know, it's really going to hurt your time. And he's past the jumping spider, but he's only down to 30 seconds as he's onto the pendulum swing. Gets through that quickly, but he's only down to 25 seconds. And even if he gets up the warped wall in his first attempt, which he doesn't, he's not going to have enough time to clear this stage. And that's going to carry over. He doesn't get up on his second attempt, but he does get up on his third attempt, but he's only down to 10 seconds as he takes on the wingnuts. So unfortunately, he is going to time up. But can he at least stay out of the water? Got through rather quickly on the wingnuts, actually, so if he had a little more time, maybe he could have cleared. Oh, I spoke too soon as he failed to transition the cannonball climb. But it didn't matter because his time had already ran out, so unfortunately it is going to count as a cannonball climb fail. But still a good first attempt for Ako on this course. And now we're on to regular Zach Giraffe, making his 6th appearance on the course and really getting into the holiday spirit here. He made his debut in Tournament 15, where he went out on the Pillars of Doom and was known as Zachary6835. He's competed in every tournament since then, and he changed his name to what it is now in Tournament 18, which is coincidentally when the course was converted to the new terrain. Throughout his career, he's never gotten past the jumping spider, which he's failed in 3 of his last 4 appearances. Before that in 17 was the rolling boulder. Speaking of the jumping spider, he's onto it now. Can he get his revenge on it? He's onto it. Gets the climb up nicely. Now for the walk across. Taking his time with each jump. Ooh, bit of a close call there. He's now the climb down. and he's got a new personal best as he's conquered his nemesis. Now for the pendulum swing. You know he wants to do better than just a personal best. Well, personal best on stage 1 anyway. And he gets up the warp wall in his first attempt. Chunk of time left, he's onto the wingnuts. Gets a good swing on the first one. It only took him about 2 or 3 swings. Oh my goodness, he is speeding through the wingnuts. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen anyone do that so far this tournament. But he gets a good swing off the third and onto the cannonball clay and climbs out that quickly, and he's going to clear the first stage for the first time in his career, and he does it with currently the fastest time, 18.4 seconds. That is the fastest I've seen anyone get through the wingnuts and the cannonball climb, and it is by Zach Giraffe. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. He was going for speed this tournament as he blazed through the 12 timbers and the spinning rings. He did slow down a bit on the jumping spider as he didn't want to go out on it for a 3rd tournament in a row and his 4th time overall. But as soon as he conquered his nemesis, it was smooth sailing as he got up the warp wall in his first attempt and sped through the wingnuts as he only needed 2 swings on the first 2 wingnuts. He did take his time to prepare for the transition to the cannonball climb, which was a smart move, but he shot up it like a rocket and punched his ticket to stage 2 for the first time in his career and with currently the fastest time. Needless to say, it's going to be difficult for the remaining competitors to beat that time. Well done and well earned, Zach. "89 competitors have now run the course, and there are 11 competitors left to go. 8 of those 89 are moving on to stage 2, and 2 of those 8 have cleared stage 1 with more than 10 seconds remaining. But now we're moving on to some of the best on this course, starting with competitor number 90, and the first of 2 All-Stars competing in this tournament. Up next, wearing the number 90, is the Shingo Yamamoto of Ninja Warrior of Roblox. Now on the start line is Clever Ninjas. He's making his landmark 20th appearance on the course. He's been here since the very beginning, and back then he was known as Kyle Ninja 3970. He's experienced every change on this course with each passing tournament. He's seen competitors come and go, and more. He's been through all that, aside from yours truly. He's an all-star because he achieved a total victory in Tournament 3 and tied for first place in that tournament. Became the 2nd competitor on this course to clear Stage 1 for 4 consecutive tournaments, and he's the only competitor to have competed in every single tournament. While he's had his ups and downs throughout his career, he still makes time to keep his perfect attendance record intact. And now on his landmark 20th appearance, can he get back to stage 2 and prove that he's still one of the best on this course? Let's find out. Clever Ninjas. It's insane to think that he's been competing in 20 tournaments. That's all I really have to say, really. But anyway, here he is on stage 1 yet again for his 20th time. I'd love to see him get back to the second stage. Let's hope that the last time he did it in Tournament 17 wasn't just a one-time thing. As saying in the beginning, he completed the first stage 6 times. The first 4 being Tournaments 2 through 5. He failed stage 1 Tournament 6, clears stage 1 again Tournament 7, and then clears stage 1 again until Tournament 17. Anyway, love to see him get back to the second stage. Last 2 tournaments haven't exactly gone his way. Speaking of which, here he is on the jumping spider. This did take him out of the last tournament. He's caught onto it. I think last time he failed to jump onto it. Now for the walk across, and he has undershot the jump to that second ledge. He was doing so well, but in back-to-back tournaments, Clever Ninjas has fallen the jumping spider, and that is now the 5th time that he's been beaten by the jumping spider. Man, I was looking forward to seeing him in the second stage yet again. The first of the final 10 competitors of this tournament is veteran Bryce_Bry, making his 4th appearance on the course. He's competed in every tournament since his debut in Tournament 17, and he's cleared Stage 1 each time. If he clears Stage 1 today, he'll be the 7th competitor in the history of this course to have cleared Stage 1 for 4 consecutive tournaments. The other 6 are, in order, Reality Pales, Clever Ninjas, Lord_Dusk, previously known as Dusklord10, Dr. PP, Firippu, and Aussie Bro. Ooh, interesting on the second ring, like it didn't spin for Bryce, but then he tried going for it and almost fell off, but he beat it. Anyways, onto the jumping spider, going through it at a pretty slow pace, but still enough to reach through. Well, he passed it now. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Pendulum swing. Gets through that nicely. And now for the warped wall. Can he get up this one go? No, he cannot. He's gonna get up on this attempt. And he does. So now he's got a chance of clearing. Alright, assuming that the wingnuts work for him. He's on to the second one now. Now he's on to the third. The klaxon is about to sound. But if he can get the transition cannonball bomb, he does. Now he's just gotta climb up. Oh, he's taking his time climbing. Come on, you gotta get going, Bryce. Oh, it's gonna be close. Come on. Can he do it? Oh my goodness. Yes, he does. He has cleared the first stage for 4 consecutive tournaments. And with only half a second left on the clock, Bryce has become the 7th competitor to clear stage 1 for 4 consecutive tournaments. Wow! He had a bit of a close call on the dismount of the rolling boulder, but the biggest worry was here on the spinning rings. He was going for the ride technique, but the second ring refused to spin, so he tried to speed his way through the rest of the obstacle, so he kind of overshot the back end of the ring, only to land on the front side when it finally started to spin. After that, he had no trouble on the rest of stage 1, aside from not getting up the warped wall in his first attempt. And despite the klaxon sounding, he took his time climbing up the cannonballs, not wanting to make a mistake, and just barely managed to punch his ticket to stage 2. But nevertheless, Bryce is moving on to stage 2 for his 4th time in a row. Next up is the second to last newcomer of this tournament, Noisy Fire Ninja. Well, I wonder what makes him noisy, let alone Fire Ninja. Maybe the ninja part if he proves himself. Not sure about the fire and the noisy part. Anyway, 94 seconds for him, and the lamps have lit up and he's not going. He must be one of those people who did not know that. Well, this looks promising, doesn't it? And now he finally gets going. And he seems to be lagging a bit on the 12 timbers, but he's still getting by it. Yeah, now I have absolutely no confidence in this competitor. Well, let's just see how far he can get before he either falls or time's up. Set down to less than 70 seconds and onto the rolling boulder. So I don't think he's going to have enough time to clear stage 1 now. And he ends up failing the rolling boulder anyway, so tough luck. Now we're on to veteran Sonic_DJs, making his 11th appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 10 under his first name, Sonic DJ 58A. That tournament and Tournament 15, when he changed his name from the Sonic DJs to what it is now, are tied for his personal worst performance on the third obstacle. He's competed in every tournament since his debut, and he's still looking for his first Stage 1 clear as Sonic_DJs, and his first since Tournament 14, when he last cleared it. And he also got a personal best in that tournament by getting to Stage 3. Last tournament, however, he fell on the jumping spider. Speaking of which, he's onto it now. Can he beat it this time? Gets to jump onto it. Now for the climb up. Up it nicely, and now for the walk across. Oop. And after saving himself from overshooting the jump to that ledge, he ends up not getting a jump off of it. And Sonic has fallen on the jumping spider for his second tournament in a row, and his 4th time overall. Next up is the last newcomer to run Stage 1 this tournament. It's Ansem Sora. Obviously a Kingdom Hearts reference, even though Ansem is misspelled, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, making great work at the 12 timbers, getting through them quite quickly. And he's past him, and now for the rolling boulder. How will he do here? Oop, almost was out the front, but he manages to hang on, and he's beating it and onto the Saturn. How will he do here? Gets over the hurdle. And he's past the Saturn. Now for the spinning rings. How will he approach this? He's also going to go for the right technique. And the second one spins for him. As it's the third, and he's past the spinning rings, and now for the jumping spider. Can he get through this? No, he doesn't. He undershoots the jump onto it, but still a good try. And now we're on to veteran G-Man 992421, making his landmark 10th appearance on the course. He's competed in every tournament since his debut in Tournament 11. In his first 7 appearances, he's fallen on the first half of Stage 1, the rolling boulder twice in Tournaments 12 and 13, the jumping spider on his debut and in Tournament 14, and the third obstacle in Tournaments 15 through 17. His breakthrough tournament came on the first tournament of the new terrain when he cleared Stage 1, and was the first competitor to clear Stage 1 that tournament. Last tournament, he went out on the jumping spider for his 3rd career time, and now he's hoping to avoid doing that for a 4th time as he's onto it now. And he does fail for his 4th career time as he undershoots the jump to that second ledge on the walk section. Bad luck to G-Man. Next up is a competitor who really likes to party. It is regular Party Fun 64. He's making his 6th appearance on the course. He's competed in every tournament since his debut in Tournament 15, where he went out on the first obstacle. He's fallen on the first obstacle twice, on his debut and in Tournament 17, and he's fallen on the rolling boulder twice, in Tournaments 16 and 18. Last tournament, he achieved a personal best by getting to the slippery logs, the 6th obstacle at Stage 1. Oh, he's having a hard time getting over this hurdle on the Saturn, but he's over it now, and he's past the Saturn. That was a close call. We're now for the spinning rings. So it just proves that he's gotten past his curse of failing the first 2 obstacles on his first 4 appearances, and hoping to get a new personal best. But to do that, he's first got to get past the jumping spider. He's caught onto it. He's down to less than 50 seconds though, so his time is not looking good. And he's taking his time preparing each jump on the walk section. Oh my goodness! So close to falling on the climb down, but he's past it. And now for the pendulum swing. If he can get past this, he'll achieve a new personal best. And he does so! He's onto the warp now. On warped wall, he's going to want to get up this in 1. He does, so he still has a chance of clearing stage 1, but he's got to hurry. He's on the wingnuts now. This is already a good run for party fun, despite going slow in the first half of the first stage. He's on to the second wingnut now. And he undershoots the jump to the third one, and he is out. So close, but he didn't get a good enough swing off the second wingnut. But still a new personal best for party fun, and a pretty good run. Next up is the competitor who finished in first place in the last tournament, veteran and epic Reshiram. He's back making his 13th appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 7 under the name Mutant Reshiram 47, where he went out on the Danger Climb. He's competed in almost every tournament since then, missing out on Tournament 15. He changed his name to what it is now in Tournament 9. He cleared Stage 1 for the first time in his career in Tournament 13, and has gotten close to clearing again a few times since then, going out no earlier than the Jumping Spider, as he'd get close to clearing Stage 1 for a second time in Tournaments 16 through 18, before eventually doing so in the last tournament, where he did it as one of the 10 American Ninja WoR Roblox competitors, and again, like I said, he finished in first place in that tournament. Now he's onto the Jumping Spider. Getting through it pretty slowly. He's going to want to pick up the pace. Now for the climb down. And he's past it. Alright, Epic, you're going to want to hurry if you want to beat us. Stage 1 back-to-back tournaments. Almost slips up on the first pendulum swing, but he's past it. Now for the warped wall. He's going to want to get up this in 1. He does, so he still has a chance. Wingnuts now. Come on in, Epic. Gotta get a good swing on that first one, and he does. He's on to the second one now. 15 seconds, come on. Get that swing. He's on to the third one now. The klaxon sounds. He's got to get a good swing onto the cannonball climb, and then he's going to have to rocket up it. Onto it. Speeds up it, and an epic Reshiram is going to clear Stage 1 for the third time in his career, and first time in back-to-back tournaments, with 1.4 seconds left. An epic Reshiram, proving that his clear in the last tournament was not a fluke, and wanting to cement himself as one of the rising stars on this course. He certainly didn't have the fastest pace getting through the 12 timbers, and he was going for the right technique on the spinning rings until he began going for it on the second and third rings, which is good because if he had waited for the second ring to spin, he would have timed up, as he took a few seconds to prepare the jumps near the end of the Jumping Spider, and he almost lost his grip on the first pendulum of the pendulum swing, but he hung on and got through it quickly. But then he got up the warped wall in his first attempt, and rocketed up the cannonball climb as the klaxon sounded, to punch his ticket to Stage 2 for the third time in his career, and clearing Stage 1 in back-to-back tournaments for the first time. And he's become the 10th competitor this tournament to advance to Stage 2. Now that was epic. Pun intended. Well, it goes without saying that we're not getting a new Stage 1 clear record this tournament, let alone for the new terrain. But an epic Reshiram has now tied the number of Stage 1 clears from the last tournament. So at best, we can tie the number of Stage 1 clears from Tournament 18, as we're now onto the final 3 competitors of Stage 1. 1 regular, 1 veteran, and 1 all-star. So let's proceed with the finale of Stage 1 with competitor 98. It is Lee Stones, regular making his second appearance on the course. and he got a really high number in the last tournament for being one of the top qualifiers of the last tournament. And that's, of course, where he made his debut, where he went out on the jumping spider. Not the best way to go out, but definitely not the worst. Anyway, at the 12 timbers and onto the rolling boulder. Always going for it sideways, and he fails to catch onto the boulder, and he is out. Definitely a step back from his performance in the last tournament. Before we move on to our second to last runner of stage 1, let's take a look at this stage's First, an honorable mention to Evil Denax, who almost saved himself on the rolling boulder, but fell in the empty space between the boulder and the dismount. But I believe the honor should go to Newcomer Seth9065 for coming so close to clearing stage 1, but going out at the very end on the last jump of the cannonball climb, even if he would have timed up anyway. Next up is the first and only competitor to have reached the final stage since the course renewal in Tournament 12, veteran Look1456. He's making his 9th appearance on the course. He made his debut in Tournament 8, where he went out on the reverse jump hang. He didn't compete again until Tournament 11, where he became the first competitor of that tournament to clear Stage 1. He competed in the following 4 tournaments, where in Tournament 14, he got back to Stage 2 and more, getting to Stage 3, and getting to the final stage, where he got 2/3 up the tower before his time expired. He hasn't had much luck on the course since then, as he's fallen near the end of Stage 1 twice, but on his last appearance in Tournament 18, he went out on the jumping spider. As I say all that, he's onto the spinning rings, and now he has the opportunity to get his revenge on the jumping spider, and hopefully go even further. Can he do it? He failed to jump onto it last time, and he does so again. Based on where he's standing, he either failed to jump onto it, or didn't get a jump off the trampoline. Either way, he's been beaten by the jumping spider once again. Before we move on to our final runner of Stage 1, let's now take a look at Stage 1's
Robloxia spoiler.
Every obstacle in this first stage has taken out at least one competitor, including the warped wall, in which someone timed up on it for the first time since Tournament 12, and the Saturn has done more damage this tournament than it had in the last 2 tournaments. But as a shock to almost no one, the killer of the stage is once again the jumping spider. While it hasn't taken out as many competitors this time as it did last tournament, it still took out 21 competitors, proving that despite the makeover, things can still get pretty ugly there. And now for the final runner of Stage 1, it's this tournament's Mr. 100. The final competitor of Stage 1 is the Speed Demon Aussie Bro, one of 2 All-Stars competing in the special 20th tournament. Aussie has been around since the beginning, only missing Tournament 8. In the first half of this course's lifespan, Aussie has had mixed results on this course, as he cleared Stage 1 5 times, and getting to Stage 3 2 of those 5 times, with the latter of the 2 being his personal best. In the second half, however, things have really started to look up for him. It started with him going out on Stage 1, but since then, he has really upped his game, as he would clear Stage 1 8 consecutive times, and getting to Stage 3 4 of those 8 times, including the last 2 tournaments. And his 8 Stage 1 clear streak is currently the longest active clear streak, surpassing Firippu's streak of 5. Now he's hoping to extend that streak to 9 and make it his 14th overall Stage 1 clear. He's also the only competitor who has the best chance of beating Zach Giraffe's clear time, as that's usually what Aussie does, intentional or not. And considering that he's the only competitor left, Anyway, getting through the 12 timbers quickly, typical Aussie. And he's passed it with one of the fastest, and not the fastest, through the 12 timbers this tournament. Rolling boulder, not a problem for him, and now for the Saturn. A bit of a struggle to go over the hurdle, but he's through it and past the obstacle. Now for the spinning rings, and of course he's going to go straight through it, or just gun it, whatever. Point is, he's past it now, still got a lot of time left for the jumping spider. And of course he quickly gets onto it. Now for the climb up. No! Aussie has fallen! What just happened? He's undone by the jumping spider! He was handling the course quickly and nicely, like he usually does. But on the jumping spider, he got the climb up, but on the walk across, he just mistimed when to jump off that ledge and fell straight onto the water. The obstacle that took him out at the start of the second half of this course's lifespan is ironically the same obstacle that has taken him out at the end of it. And for the first time since Tournament 11, Aussie Bro has been beaten by Stage 1. And the streak has come to a bitter end. And with that heartbreaking finish, Stage 1 of Tournament 20 has come to an end. 100 competitors have risen to take on the course, with many changes made to it, and the changes have proven to be too much for 90 of our competitors, including last tournament's third place finisher, Hidden_JPEG, previously known as Rob the Constraint Guy, and last tournament's second place finisher, Aussie Bro. And for the first time since Tournament 8, we will not see a single star, let alone an all-star, in the second stage. But in the end, 10 competitors have proven their worth and will be continuing their journey to the top of the tower, including 3 of the competitors who defeated Stage 1 in the last tournament. Moving on to Stage 2 are 1 newcomer, 4 regulars, and 5 veterans. Much like Stage 1, Stage 2 has seen some changes made from the last tournament. 6 obstacles as opposed to 8, and a far lesser time limit. It starts with a sliding jump rope, mostly unchanged from the last tournament, just with fewer truss supports for reasons similar to the jumping spider. Then it's the more infamous triple salmon ladder, where the rungs have been modified to be easier to see, especially in the dark, but the difficulty is still the same as before. For winning at the top is the new duo rope maze, which is mainly the same as the tri-rope maze from the last tournament, but with 1 less maze, and the mazes are more difficult to navigate. After that is the beam trenches, courtesy of SkyLineJames. Whatever happened to that guy? Well anyway, the only thing different about this obstacle is the new paint job. Following that is the cable circuit, which has been buffed from the last tournament, as now the footholds on the cables have been made smaller, making it pretty difficult to stay onto the cables as they're turning. And then it's the wall split, which has been given a new rule in dedication to this tournament. Now you don't have to push both sides of each wall in order to advance, whereas before, you had to. So essentially, this Stage 2 is mostly the same as last time, aside from a new look, but without the gliding ring and boulder swing. And the competitors left standing will have 80 seconds to hit the button at the end without touching or falling into the water. Anyone who can do that will advance to Stage 3. So now let's head down to the stairs to meet our first Stage 1 survivor of this tournament to begin the second stage. Kicking off the second stage is regular Codemaster 05. He's one of 3 competitors this tournament who went from falling on Stage 1 on their debut last tournament to clearing Stage 1 on their second appearance, i.e. this tournament. And he cleared Stage 1 with the second slowest time. Now let's see how he does in Stage 2, 80 seconds as he takes on the sliding jump rope. Down the bar section nicely, and now for the rope, and he's past it. Now for the triple salmon ladder. The rungs are a lot easier to see this time, but he still managed to slip up on the second run and he is out. And he's yet another victim of the triple salmon ladder. And now we're moving on to regular X Renos, the second of the 3 competitors who went from falling on stage 1 in the last tournament to clearing stage 1 on their second appearance in this tournament. So let's see how he does. Will he do a better job than Codemaster? We're about to find out. He'll have 80 seconds to take on this stage, starting with the sliding jump rope. Now the barbed wire nicely, and he's past it. And now for the rope. Past that as well. Sliding jump rope hasn't really been much of a problem for competitors ever since introduction in Tournament 18. Doing much better on the triple salmon ladder, and he doesn't end up getting a jump off the top of the second rung on the second set, and he is also out on the triple salmon ladder. And now we're on to the last of the 3 competitors who went from failing stage 1 on their debut in the last tournament to clearing stage 1 on their second appearance in this tournament. Regular McGag 427 UI. Hoping to avenge his fellow competitors who clear stage 1 in their second appearance. I don't know the term for that. Anyway, he's onto the sliding jump rope and he's past it nicely. How will he do on the triple salmon ladder? Almost undershoots a jump to that rung there. Climbing up it nicely. Ooh, he undershoots the jump to the third set, but got onto it now. And now he gets onto it. And he's past the triple salmon ladder. Now for the duo rope maze. This is more of a time waster, but you can fall on it if you're not careful. But he's getting through the first maze nicely. He's past it, and now for the second maze. Chewing up a lot of time here. He's going to want to try and get a move on. And now he gets past the second maze, gets the dismount, and now he's onto the beam trenches. Getting through them nicely. Down to less than 30 seconds. But now he's past the beam trenches, and now for the cable circuit. Still got time left. Alright, on to the first set. Can he make the jump to the second set? He does. But he loses his grip on the left cable, and he is out on the cable circuit. He was so close, but he just couldn't pull together. McGag got the jump to the left side of the second cable, but if you look closely, as he was pushing the cable, he just slightly veered to the left, and it was just enough for him to lose his footing on the foothold and fall straight into the water. And that's it with those 3 competitors. And now for the first veteran to clear stage 1 in this tournament, Snivy who is one of 2 competitors to beat the Klaxon in this tournament, or at least for stage 1. Anyway, let's see how he does. Last time he reached the stage was back in Tournament 18, where he went out on the triple salmon ladder. But let's see if he can do better this time. Sliding jump rope. Had no problem with this in Tournament 18, and not gonna have a problem with it this time. Now for the triple salmon ladder, he did have trouble with this in Tournament 18. But he's doing a much better job on it. It's on the top, and he has passed it. So he's already beaten his nemesis from Tournament 18. Now let's see how he does on the rest of Stage 2. First, a duo rope maze, past the first maze. Getting through the second one, navigating through it. And he has passed it, and ooh, kind of tries to cut a corner. He's kind of close to undershooting, but he's onto the beam trenches now. Getting through that quickly and nicely. Not a problem for him. And he's passed it. Still got plenty of time left for the cable circuit. He saw McGaff slip up on this. He doesn't want to make the same mistake. And he doesn't. And he's still got 25 seconds for the wall split. Now what he's going to do is push it sideways. Interesting, and making him squeeze through easier. But he has passed the wall split, and he clears the second stage with 14.3 seconds left. And that's the second time now where he's beaten the Klaxon on a stage. He conquered his nemesis from Tournament 18, and he achieved a new personal best by getting past the beam trenches. And he had an interesting technique on the wall split, doing it sideways so he'd squeeze by the walls a lot faster. But it all worked out, and it's 3rd time's the charm for Snivy on this stage, and he'll be heading to Stage 3 for the first time in his career. just about at the halfway point at this stage. Snivy is our first clear of Stage 2, with 6 competitors left, all looking to join him. How many of them will join Snivy in Stage 3? Let's not wait any longer, and proceed with our next competitor. From one veteran making his 3rd appearance on Stage 2 to another, this is Chubbs, who last reached the stage in Tournament 3, where he cleared Stage 2. Back then he was known as Chubbs26. I said all this earlier, I don't know why I'm bringing it up again. I guess it's to kill time while we're waiting for his run to start, and nothing else to say while his run is happening. Anyway, he'll have 80 seconds, and let's see how he does on the sliding jump rope. Goes through the barbed wire nicely, and now for the rope. Handles that nicely, kind of a bit of a launch at the end there. Guess if I was swinging on the rope. Anyway, he's doing the, went through his first set sideways, but then he went through his 3rd straight right, but yeah, he got the triple salmon ladder nicely. That was the first time I ever taken it on, and he handled it like he had never, whatever. He's on the dual rope maze. Bit of a struggle getting through the first maze. Yeah, he's doing a different technique. He's not, like, pushing it sideways. He's pushing it front forward, and doesn't really seem to be working out for him, or rather it is, but rather slowly compared to the other people. Preferably in a McGag. But he's finally passed it now. He's got 35 seconds. He's still got time to clear, but he's gonna have to hustle. 30 seconds now. He's on the 2nd side of the beam trenches. Passed that nicely. Getting through these nicely, even though he hasn't taken on Stage 2 in forever. He's acting like he's been here for a long time or something like that. Anyway, still got time. And he slips up the right side of the 2nd cable in the cable circuit, and he's out. What just happened there? He was doing so well. Despite not getting to the stage in so long, he performed as though he's been here in every tournament. Sure, he did get caught up a good bit on the duo rope maze, which ate up a lot of his time, but other than that, he was practically flawless. But on the cable circuit, it looked like he was trying to jump on that right side of the 2nd cable to maintain his footing, but instead he bounced right off, and you can't do that. And it ended up costing Chubbs another trip to Stage 3. That's a shame. And now we're on to veteran Daniel Icewolf RBLX, who's also making his 3rd appearance on Stage 2. And last time he reached the stage within the last tournament, where he went out on the tri-rope maze. And I'm just now realizing that he's the 3rd competitor in a row, let alone the 3rd veteran, to make their 3rd appearance on the stage. So I guess we went from the first 3 runners making their 2nd appearance on the course, where they reached the 2nd stage for the first time, to now the next 3 competitors, who are veterans, who are reaching the 2nd stage for their 3rd time. Anyway, Daniel now, he's past the triple salmon ladder very nicely. Now for the duo rope maze, which is technically the tri-rope maze as a replacement, or I guess nerd version of it or whatever. Anyway, that's everyone seems to be stuck. Seems to try with rope based obstacles, or rather he gets them rather slowly, like he just did there. Not that slowly, he's still doing very well, considering that he's only down to 40 seconds and onto the 2nd side of the beam trenches. And now it was only a matter of time before we got to another PowerPoint portion of this run, or just a PowerPoint run in general. Oh, you always hate that. You gotta love some recording studios that just love to screw with you sometimes. Well, he's getting past the cable circuit, now he's past it. He's still got a lot of time left for the wall split. Can he beat Stage 2 with the fastest time? Really hard to say, considering that we can't see what's happening at the end. Well, it turns out that he doesn't. He clears with the 2nd fastest time of 12.9 seconds. But regardless, Daniel Icewolf RBLX has beaten Stage 2 for the 2nd time in his career, and will be heading back to Stage 3 for the first time since Tournament 17. next up is the only newcomer to clear stage 1 this tournament, XX Saturn King XX. Let's see how he does on his first time in the second stage. He'll have 80 seconds. And I believe he cleared with the third fastest stage 1 clear time, or whatever. Anyway, past the sliding jump rope, and now for the triple salmon ladder. Climbing up pretty slowly, but that's good. Preparing each jump. Getting up it nicely. And he's up the triple salmon ladder. Past it. Now for the duo rope maze. Let's see how fast he can navigate through this. Navigating through it nicely. Kind of losing his grip on the rope a little bit, but still hanging on. Still got plenty of time left. Taking his time navigating through it. As long as he gets by, that's all that matters. And he does so. And now for the beam trenches. Can he get by this? No one has struggled on this obstacle this tournament. And I past 2 tournaments where people have struggled on it. Anyways, down to less than 30 seconds, past the beam trenches, and now for the cable circuit. Good idea to regen the obstacle. You don't want to risk getting disqualified. Now for the wall split. He's still got plenty of time. Is he going to be the klaxon? No, he's not, but he's still gonna clear the second stage with 7.6 seconds left. Oh wait, never mind, he just killed himself, so he failed. Well, that's too bad, he did so well, but he killed himself, so that's an automatic fail. Seven competitors down, 3 to go. And we now have 3 competitors moving on to Stage 3. And 2 of those 3 will be attempting Stage 3 for their first time, while the other one will be attempting it for their second time. And of the 3 remaining, 2 of them could reach the end of Stage 2 for their first time, while the last competitor will be aiming to do it for their second time in a row. However, you don't care, you just want to see them run. So I'll give you what you want, and move on with the runs. And now we're moving on to regular Zach Giraffe, who cleared Stage 1 with the fastest clear time. One of only 2 competitors to beat the klaxon. He's basically become this tournament's Aussie Bro. Especially considering that the real Aussie Bro is unfortunately not on the stage. So I guess Zach Giraffe will have to carry the title of Speed Team over this tournament. Anyway, he's past the sliding jump rope. Not too much trouble on that. Now for the triple salmon ladder. And he undershoots the jump to the second set and couldn't catch onto the rung below, and he is out on the triple salmon ladder. Just when it looked like it wasn't going to cause any more trouble, this tournament Speed Demon goes out on it. And now we have the only competitor who's competing on the second stage for more than 3 times in his career. It is Bryce_Bry. He's reached the stage in every tournament since his debut in Tournament 17. Last time he went out on the triple salmon ladder. Now he's hoping to get further than that and get further than the 4th obstacle, because that would be his personal best if he did. And he was on the triple salmon ladder. Can he beat it this time? On the second set, he undershoots the jump to the 3rd set, but he still comes to the 1st set. And after just getting back on the 2nd step, he falls off and is out on the triple salmon ladder. After undershooting the jump to the 3rd set, he saved himself on top of the 1st set and got back to the 2nd set. But he pulled back just a little too far and fell off the rung and right into the water. And Bryce has now fallen on the triple salmon ladder for the 3rd time in his career. And now we're on to the final competitor to run Stage 2 this tournament. It is veteran and epic Reshiram. He reached the stage for the 2nd time in his career in the last tournament, where he was one of only 2 competitors last tournament to clear Stage 2. Now he's here again, hoping to clear Stage 2 for a second tournament in a row, and his second time overall. He's past the sliding drum rope, they were struggling on it. Kind of struggling up the triple salmon ladder, at least in the first set, but he's getting up it now, and he's past it. And now for the duo rope maze. Can he navigate through this? He's doing so quite well. And he's on to the second rope. He's having a hard time getting that second rope moving. Yeah, he's having a difficult time navigating through this second maze. It's chewing up a lot of his time, but he's past it now. May want to pick up the pace a bit if he hopes to clear Stage 2 for the second time. Getting onto the beam trenches, and just like that, we're on to the next PowerPoint run. Perfect time to have a PowerPoint run as for the final runner of Stage 2. Well, he's past the beam trenches and onto the cable circuit. I'm assuming he gets by this. He does, and we unfortunately couldn't see it, but it looked like he took up a lot of time on it. Now for the wall split. The klaxon sounds. We unfortunately can't see how well he's getting through these, or how quickly he's getting past them. But can he at least get past them? Yes, he will, and he's going to clear the second stage for the second time in his career with less than a second left. And because I hate Movavi so much, or at least this recording studio, we couldn't really see the official clear time, but at the end of the day, an epic restroom is moving on to Stage 3 for the second time in his career. And with that, we've come to the end of Stage 2 this tournament. We started this tournament with 100 competitors, and 2 hours later, we narrowed it down to 10. And of those 10, 4 of them have managed to reach the end of this stage, while the other 6 have seen their journey come to an end. And now the 4 left standing will have to take on the most brutal obstacles on this course if they want to meet the tower awaiting them at the end. Left in this tournament is 1 newcomer and 3 veterans. The sun has set, as well as the tone. It is now time for the competition to be taken to Stage 3. Containing 8 of the most brutal obstacles ever seen on this course. And like stages 1 and 2, this stage has also seen some changes from the last tournament, particularly the first half. It begins with the return of Cycling Road, returning from Tournament 13 and replacing the Wire Cross. Just like before, the competitors will have to jump from each wheel, which get harder as you progress. Then it's the new horizontal propeller bars, replacing the hole grasper. Here the competitors will have to jump from each bar, which slowly turn upward, and will continue to get slower the longer they're on each bar. Get past that, and they'll take on the V-boards, unchanged from last time. And then it's the even more infamous Mega Incline Crazy Cliffhanger, which has only been attempted 5 times and has been defeated only once. But anyone who proves tough enough to get past that will then meet the Swing Circle, replacing the jumping rings, despite it never being attempted. Anyway, Here the competitors will have to generate big swings on each of the 4 rings in order to make the transition to the next, and do so without overdoing it. Then they'll have to swing from the 4th ring to the rope ladder, which is not an obstacle by the way, and get to the other side to face the limited ascent. Navigate your way across the 4 very small vertical limit ledges, and you'll then take on Truss Junction. Make your way past the trusses, designed to wrap you up if you're not careful, and then you'll take on the final obstacle, the Bar Dropper, which hasn't been attempted since Tournament 14. Make that last leap of faith, and you're done with Stage 3. As always, the competitors will have no time limit on this stage. They can take as long as they'd like to get past each obstacle, and they're only allowed 30 seconds to rest in between each obstacle. Will we finally see someone get past this stage for the first time in 5 or 6 tournaments? Let's find out by heading back down the stairs of this stage and greet the first of 4 competitors taking on this brutal stage, and officially begin Stage 3. Kicking off the 3rd stage is veteran Snivy-Tosh. He's making his first appearance on the 3rd stage. This is also his final appearance on the course, and boy, he's making it count. As the final stage he just pointed to, that's his goal. He wants to get there on his final appearance on the course, but he's got to get through these 8 obstacles first, starting with Cycling Road. He won't have any time limit, you just got to get through it. He's only allowed 30 seconds to rest in between obstacles, and he's beginning, speeding through the Cycling Road and doing it sideways until the final tire. And that's how we do it. He's past Cycling Road now for the horizontal propeller bars, speeding right through it. Yeah, I never really realized that those little lumps in between the propellers were big enough for people to stand on, but I allowed it. But he's quickly past the horizontal propeller bars and now for the V-boards. This has caused trouble for a few competitors so far in this era. One in particular, but I digress. He's onto the 3rd board, gets down that ledge nicely, onto the 4th, and he's past the V-boards. Alright, he's now the 3rd competitor in this era to attempt the Mega Incline Crazy Cliffhanger. Can he get past it? Taking his time preparing for it, and now he's onto it. Gets to climb up to those 2 ledges. Starting to pick up a little speed. It's fine, but it's not really going to work on these ledges. He's on that incline. Can he make the jump to the second to last ledge on the first side? No one's made this jump so far. But he just barely catches on to it. Managed to hang on. Now can he make the 180-degree jump? He does. Now can he make the 180-degree jump? He does. Now can he make the 180-degree jump? He does. Now can he make the 180-degree jump? He does. Just barely. He catches on the second ledge. And he's done it! Snivy-Tosh has become the first competitor since X-Cakes in Tournament 17 to defeat the Mega Incline Crazy Cliffhanger. When he got to that second incline, he took his time preparing the jump to that 11th ledge, and he just barely managed to make the jump and quickly jumped onto the 12th ledge in order to recover. And he didn't take as much time preparing the 180 jump to the 13th ledge, but he almost undershot it, but still managed to catch onto it, jump onto the 14th ledge, and conquer the cliffhanger. He's become the 2nd ever competitor to do so. But there's no time to celebrate. He's now into unfamiliar territory. He's only halfway through Stage 3. These next two obstacles are unfamiliar to Snivy, or anyone else for that matter. It all starts with a swing circle. As soon as he gets moving, he doesn't have much time left to rest. He's got to get going. There he goes. Onto the swing circle. 4 rings. That lock in place. Just got to swing them across. Make sure that you hold on and get a big enough swing to make each transition. As I say all that, he's onto the 3rd ring already. Onto the 4th. And now he's just got to catch that rope ladder. And he does. Gets the other side. It's not technically an obstacle, but this one is the limited ascent. These are very small ledges. You gotta climb them similar to the hang climb. But he's passing it onto Truss Junction. He's the 2nd ever competitor to reach this obstacle. but will he be the first to defeat it? Drops on down the second. He's gonna climb up that second truss. And is he gonna do what XJ tried to do on this truss? He does! He just barely managed to catch on that third truss. He's still on it. Now for the fourth truss. This has a little surprise once you get onto it. He's preparing for that jump. Not gonna do it for the second truss, and it dropped. There it is. The surprise is it drops you. You probably would have already guessed that, but anyway, he's now become the first competitor to conquer Truss Junction, and the first competitor since Tournament 14 to take on the bar dropper. But unlike the Tournament 14 version where you had to get enough speed through the bar to push it to the second track, you just got to push the bar down the track and make sure you don't derail the bar, and you got to watch that drop bar, which is the second track. Anyway, got to make sure that he's prepared to take on this obstacle, because he's only one obstacle away from the final stage. And here he goes, onto the bar dropper. Kind of rocking himself back and forth to get the bar moving. That's a good idea. Woo! Got a bit of a speed there. But you got to be careful on this, because it is easy for the bar to derail from the track. So you got to be careful when pushing the bar. He's taking a steady approach on it. Careful swing, rocking back and forth. That's a good idea to do to get the bar moving. But if you go too far back, you could slip off. Got a bit of a jump to try and not get the rocking motion going, because the bar still wasn't moving despite how much rocking he was doing. And there's another jump. And he's approaching the second track now. He's got to make sure that he gets the bar as straight as possible, because otherwise, there it goes, it drops, and the bar's still on the track. Now he just has to carefully push the track all the way at the end and prepare for that final jump. Despite how it may appear, that is a really big drop. The only way to make it is by getting the bar all the way to the end of the track and then just jump off at the right time. Otherwise, you will undershoot it. And he's got the bar all the way into the track, and now he just got to get to the top of the bar and then prepare for that final jump. Alright, he's taking a minute. Just got to get onto the top of the bar, and he does. Can he make that final jump? Hanging on for dear life. No, he doesn't! He was so close, but he couldn't get a jump off at the end, and Snivy is out at the very end of the third stage. He was so close, but just couldn't get the jump off. Snivy really made his final appearance on this course count. He did most of Cycling Road sideways, but it worked out for him. He sped through most of the new horizontal propeller bars, and despite a couple close calls on the Mega Incline Crazy Cliffhanger, he became the second competitor to ever defeat that obstacle, and the first since Tournament 17. And he handled the swing circle and limited descent with little to no trouble, but then he became the first competitor to defeat Truss Junction, and the first competitor to attempt the redesigned bar dropper. He managed to get the bar all the way to the end of the track and get on top of it to prepare that final jump, but he just couldn't get the jump off. But needless to say, Snivy has ended his career on a high note, despite what he might have to say about it. Well, at least Snivy went out with dignity. It's a shame we won't see him competing again, but that's the way it is. Anyway, it's time to move on. There are 3 competitors left in this tournament, ready to take on Stage 3, and the next one up is a competitor who has experience on the stage. And that next one up is veteran Daniel Icewolf RBLX, who is making his second appearance on Stage 3. He first reached the stage in Tournament 17, where he went out on the now retired Six Flags. Now he is hoping to achieve a new personal best. However, he's got to get past some cycling road and then the horizontal propeller bars. Let's see how he does. Been a while since he last reached the stage. Hopefully he hasn't got a little sloppy or whatever. Anyway, on cycling road, cameraman got caught by a truck support and Daniel falls on cycling road. I don't know how that happened, but because of the cameraman getting caught by that supporting truss, it was hard to tell what went wrong for Daniel, if he just slightly undershot the jump to the third wheel, or if he just didn't get a good grip on it and lost it. Either way, Daniel is out on the first obstacle of Stage 3 and won't be achieving a new personal best this tournament. And just like that, we're down to 2 competitors. The next one up is attempting the 3rd stage for his first time. He just saw an experienced competitor go out early, but he also saw a fellow Stage 3 first-timer get to the final obstacle. So he's hoping to at least replicate that performance. And here he is, XX Saturn King XX. The only newcomer to have cleared Stage 1 this tournament, and the first newcomer since Comedy Shorts Gummer in Tournament 17 to get to Stage 3. Holy crap, that all rhymed. Well, anyway, 8 obstacles stand in the way between him and the final stage. Can he at least get to the bar dropper like Snivy Tosh? Anyway, he's on Cycling Road. He's being more cautious on this, unlike Snivy, who was practically rushing it. Gets the jump to the 3rd wheel, which is where Daniel failed. And gets onto the 4th wheel, and he's past Cycling Road. Once he gets onto the first propeller, the horizontal propeller bars, which he has done, he is now officially past Cycling Road, and now for the 2nd obstacle. And again, unlike Snivy, he's being more cautious on this obstacle. And one thing to take note that I failed to mention earlier is that the bars are designed to where, yeah, they do rotate, but if you stand on them for too long, they will start to, not only slow down rotation, but also make it to where it'll be more difficult to get through each propeller. Anyway, none of that is a factor right now because Saturn King has passed the horizontal propeller bars and onto the V boards. And well, he's going a little faster on this obstacle compared to in the first 2. He's on the 4th board and he's past the V boards. He's the 2nd competitor this tournament to reach the cliffhanger. Can he be the 2nd person to get past it? And this is the first time we've seen more than one competitor reach the cliffhanger since I believe it was Tournament 14? Yeah, I believe so. Anyway, he's getting through the cliffhanger nicely. Can he reach a jump? Can he make the jump to that incline? This is where the downfall of most competitors who've gotten this far. He's caught onto the incline, rushes for that 11th ledge. He's caught onto it, catches onto the 12th ledge, and makes the 1-8, catches onto the 12th ledge, catches onto the 12th ledge, and makes the 1-8, catches onto the 12th ledge, and 80-degree jump, still jumping around it, and he has passed the mega incline crazy cliffhanger, the 2nd competitor this tournament to get past it. He's not stopping the rest. There's Aussie Bro cheering him on. He's happy that he's beaten the cliffhanger. Hitting through swing signal nicely. He's got to make sure he swings him enough to make each transition, but try not to make too many swings or he will slip off, which is basically the difficulty of this obstacle. But he's on to the 4th ring. Can he make the jump to the rope ladder? Yes, he does. He's got to get around it before attempting the limited descent. And he is onto it. Like I said, these are very small edges on each jump. So you not only have to be careful on each jump, but you also got to make sure that you're able to navigate around them in order to make the jump to the next. Which he has done, and he is on to Trust Junction. Doing just as well as Snivy did. Hoping to do better. Navigating his way through the trust. Ooh! He caught onto the trust of the second. He's in a route around it. And it looks like he's going to do what Snivy did on this trush. Climbing up it to make the transition to the 3rd, which he has done. Now he's just got to navigate around it. And he does. Catches onto the 4th one as it drops. He survived the drop. And now for the jump to the 5th truss, which he has done. Now he's got to navigate his way around it. And he has officially passed Trust Junction and now onto the bar dropper. He's the 2nd competitor of this tournament to reach the bar dropper, but he's hoping to avoid being the 2nd competitor to fall on it. Taking a few seconds to catch his breath. Just realizing he's onto the final obstacle, he knows that this is the make it or break it moment. Well, really the make it or break it moment is both on the drop and the final jump. Ooh, bit kind of caught onto the bar a little weirdly, but he's managed to hang on to it and moving it down the track. That's good. He's not using the swing technique like Snivy did. He's just pushing it, which is the best way to get the bar moving. But remember, if you push it too fast, it is easy to derail the bar that way. But then if you don't push it hard enough, you won't get the bar moving at all. He's got to make sure he straightens that bar before attempting the drop, or else it will derail. Which is a way to fail this obstacle. He's kind of going for the swing technique, just trying to make sure he doesn't derail the bar and straighten it up. Gotta straighten the right side a bit. Oh, the left side almost went for the drop. And he's caught onto it. He is on the 2nd track now. Now he's just got to get the bar all the way to the end of the track. Been on the right side, a little careful. He's got to try and straighten it out a bit. But he's on to the end of the track now. Can he make the final jump? He's on the top. Oh, he's going to use the lower front platform of the bar to make that final jump. And he undershoots it! He was so close to clearing the 3rd stage, but could not make the final jump. And he's the 2nd competitor this tournament to go out on the bar dropper. Let's take another look at all that. Unlike Snivy, Saturn was being more cautious on the obstacles, and he was getting through them quite well. It looked close on the cliffhanger, and he had some level of uncertainty on the bar dropper, but he still managed to successfully land the drop and get the bar to the end of the track. Now he went for the lower front platform of the bar to attempt the final jump, which is legal, it's not an oversight, but if you look closely at where the bar was positioned, it was slightly nudged back when he went on the lower front platform, and because it was nudged back, he had no chance of making that final jump as he didn't have close enough space, thus undershooting it. Regardless, this is the best performance by a newcomer since Yuji Urushihara and Garn 101 in Tournament 3. 99 competitors down, and only 1 to go. All hope of a final stage appearance this tournament now lie on his shoulders, and it'll be the first time in his career that he'll be attempting the course as the last man standing. So can he handle the pressure? We're about to find out. And here he is, veteran and epic Reshiram, who's making his second appearance on 3rd stage. He first reached this stage in the last tournament, where he went out on the cliffhanger. Now he's here for the 2nd tournament in a row, and for the first time as the last man standing. He said before that he feels more confident for the 3rd stage this time than he did last tournament, as last time he wasn't prepared for stage 3, thinking he wouldn't get there, but now that he knows he can, he really put in the practice for this tournament. Starting with Cycling Road. New first obstacle at this stage. Technically it's returning from tournament 13, but I digress. And he's onto the 4th wheel and past the cycling road and going straight for the horizontal propeller bars, not bringing it all except, well, gotta wait for the bar to, level to where you can jump on it again. He's on the 2nd one now. Can he get to the 3rd? I mean, obviously that's yes, but he's not gonna go straight for the exit, he's gonna play it safe, because he doesn't want to make a simple mistake. And of course he's gonna mock the obstacle by dancing on it. But he's passing it on to the V-boards. Oh, never mind. I think he lost a contact on the platform there. There he goes, and now he proceeds. Yep, he needed that in order to get through the cliffhanger, or to the cliffhanger. I mean, it's not gonna help him get past the V-boards. Well, maybe it will. I don't know. Alright. He's doing a very interesting technique where he turns himself around before he goes for the jump. But it works out for him. He's past the V-boards and going straight for the mega... No, never mind. He thought about going straight for it, but decided to catch his breath because he realized that he's taking it on and wanting revenge on it. But realized that he's got to be a little smart and doesn't want to make a mistake. Alright, now he's speeding his way across the cliffhanger, hanging onto that long ledge. Getting through the obstacle rather nicely. Alright. And now for the jump that took him on the last tournament. Can he make it this time? No, he doesn't! He just slightly undershot it. Missed the ledge. He's going to take on the rest of the obstacle anyway, but he is out on the cliffhanger for the 2nd tournament in a row. Before we take another look at that, let's take a look at his technique on the V-boards. He turned himself around before making his way around to the other side of the first 3 boards. I don't know how that worked, but it did. Now on the cliffhanger, he jumped off the incline ledge a bit too soon and just undershot the jump to the 11th ledge. And for the 2nd tournament in a row, an epic Reshiram has been beaten by the mega incline crazy cliffhanger, and the tournament is over. And with the fall of an epic Reshiram and the other 3 Stage 2 survivors, we have come to the end of Tournament 20. Despite the course being made a bit more difficult, we still saw more success this tournament than we did last time. proving that the competitors are catching up and adapting to the increasing difficulty of this course. And as we just seen, 2 competitors managed to reach the final obstacle of Stage 3. Even though they still met their end on the final jump, their success gives us a glimmer of hope that we will see someone reach the final stage very soon, hopefully in the next tournament. Next tournament will be the special 5th year anniversary of the course, which took place in the spring of 2018, which will feature 100 new competitors, all aiming for the same goal as the 100 in this tournament and the tournaments that came before. Before we wrap things up, let's take a look at the top 20 finishers of this tournament. Newcomer XX Saturn King XX finishes in first place as he actually got to attempt the final jump of the bar dropper, while veteran Snivitosh couldn't get the jump off. For the second tournament in a row, veteran and Epic Reshiram finishes in the top 3, showcasing that he's a rising star in the making. And Daniel finishes in 4th place. Following that are the remaining Stage 1 survivors, and their placing in this tournament is determined by where they fell and how fast they got to the obstacle where they fell, and the final 10 comprised of those who went out on the cannonball climb and near the end of the wingnuts. And there you have it. More challengers and challenges await in the next tournament. But before that, we have another top 10 like video to commemorate this course and what it has done for the Roblox jumping community during the last several years. Until that video comes out, you can check out some of my other videos on this channel, including food reviews, drink reviews, gaming videos, and more. And you can also check out the NWoR Vault channel for any and all Ninja Warrior of Roblox tomfoolery made throughout the years. If you enjoyed this tournament, then make sure you click that like button, which is that icon making a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and click that bell icon so you don't miss out on any future uploads, including future Ninja Warrior of Roblox videos. You can also support me on Patreon to help me continue to make content like this. And if you want a chance to compete in a future tournament, then join the official Ninja Warrior of Roblox Discord server. Link to that is in the description. I want to give a special thanks to everyone who competed in this tournament, and an even bigger thanks to those who contributed to help make this tournament happen. Want to check out some of my other videos right now? Then click one of those 2 boxes on the screen, and you can click the white box on the top right to check out more Ninja Warrior Roblox tournaments. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Until next time, ciao peoples.